Hi everyone, please subscribe to my channel. Blood Immortal Venerable. See playlist for other chapters and novels. Join now our Telegram channel now and enjoy exclusive early access. t.me/blood_immortal_official. I do not translate the novels. Credits goes to original translator and author of the novel. I only make it as an audiobook so it would be easier to just listen while doing other things. Credits goes to the author of the novel. I convert stories to audiobook for mental health, for multitasking purpose, for accessibility and time saving. Listening to audiobook is also beneficial for people who have disability. It improves our listening skills and improve our English comprehension, vocabulary and other things. So, thank you for listening. Thank you and thank you very much for your support. Chapter 861 The Six-Star God General. 3rd, Yi Tian constantly shuttled, and when he was completely away, he landed down, covered his life breath with the great power of secret breath, and hid in the depths of the ground. In this way, even if someone chases after him again, don't even try to find him. It's very dangerous. The 7-star God Generals are too powerful. If it wasn't for the great inextinguishability technique, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to stop that blow. Yi Tian said with lingering fears. And that blow did cause him a lot of damage, and now the injury has not recovered. Yi Tian took a moment to recover from the injury, and then his consciousness probed into the small universe to examine those blood-devouring vine fragments. He checked, there were 84 shards in total, plus a core shard. These blood-devouring vine fragments contain a lot of juice. Yi Tian extracted these juices, put them in a bottle, and then extracted the juice from the core fragments. The core fragment juice has solidified into blood-colored crystals. There are more than 70 crystals in total, and each crystal contains the most fundamental essence of blood-devouring vines. Looking at these blood-devouring vine juices and crystals, Yi Tian's body seemed to want to swallow them. Immediately, Yi Tian swallowed some blood-devouring vine juice in one gulp, ran the Xuanshu art, and began refining 29 blood-devouring vine juice. Boom! Yi Tian seems to have turned into an oven, tempering the blood in his body. As time passed, Yi Tian's true blood concentration became higher and higher, and his breath became stronger and stronger. One bite after another, the blood-devouring vine juice was swallowed and refined continuously. Before I knew it, half a month passed. At this time, the blood-devouring vine juice was completely refined by Yi Tian, and his true blood concentration also increased to half, which is already a huge improvement. Then, Yi Tian started refining the blood-devouring vine crystals. Every crystal contains terrifying energy, making Yi Tian's true blood concentration higher and higher. 0.65, 0.7%, 1%, 1.15. When more than 70 blood-devouring vine crystals were exhausted, Yi Tian's true blood concentration increased to 1.80%, which was still far from 30%. There was nothing he could do. After all, he had obtained few blood-devouring vine crystals. If he obtained several blood-devouring vine core fragments, then he could increase the true blood concentration to 30%. However, the true blood concentration of 1.80% is quite good. Yi Tian is very satisfied with this. With the increase of the true blood concentration, Yi Tian's blood became incomparably powerful. The true blood continued to temper the flesh, and it was faintly about to break the shackles. Moreover, Xuanshu has signs of breaking through to the 6th floor. Immediately, Yi Tian began to retreat and began to attack the 6th layer realm of Xuanshu art. A few years later, with the help of some resources, coupled with the true blood concentration of 1.80%, Yi Tian finally broke the shackles of Xuanshu art in one fell swoop and was promoted to the 6th layer entry level. At the same time, Yi Tian's strength also broke through the shackles and became a god general in the early stage of 6 stars. In just a few hundred years, from the mid-5-star stage to the early stage 6-star God General's combat power, this level of strength is simply amazing. Moreover, Yi Tian has not yet started to cultivate the Chaos Divine Ability Gu Yuan Yushan Divine Ability. If the cultivation is successful, his strength may be improved to the mid-6-star Divine General again. Go back first. Yi Tian was not ready to stay in the Great Secret Realm, so he immediately returned to the exit of the Great Secret Realm. Not long after, Yi Tian returned to the human race and immediately entered the Hall of Void Heaven. As soon as he entered the Zushan Temple, he saw Pengyu Tianjin. When Pengyu Tianjin saw Yi Tian, he was immediately surprised. Junior brother Yi Tian, are you stepping into a 6-star general? Lucky. Yi Tian nodded and said. Junior brother's talent is really strong, and he has entered the 6-star general in such a short time. Pengyu Tianjin said with a smile. The two did not talk for a long time before Peng Tianjin left. After all, people like Peng Tianjin are usually very slow, and they are working hard to become the true ancestor. Naturally, it is impossible to chat with Yi Tian more. On the other hand, Yi Tian traded a lot of the treasures he had obtained during this trip with some gods in the Hall of Void Heaven and exchanged them for the resources he wanted. After the resources were exchanged, Yi Tian began to retreat in the Zushan Temple. In the entire universe, this is definitely one of the safer places. The Hall of Void Heaven, the closed room. After Yi Tian adjusted his state, he began to cultivate the divine power of Ji Yuan. He has all the conditions for this chaotic supernatural power. As long as he cultivates step by step, he can practice it. As for when to practice it, it depends on your comprehension. On the other hand, Yi Tian possesses the super enlightenment talent of the god level limit, so it will naturally take a long time for him to practice this chaotic supernatural power. Time has passed year by year, and in the blink of an eye it is 300 years. Chaos supernatural powers are indeed difficult to train, and almost all the gods who can practice chaotic supernatural powers are legends, definitely a line of disciples of Taoist ancestors, and almost all of them have the help of Taoist ancestors, such as gifting treasures to assist in the practice of chaotic supernatural powers. If you rely on yourself to cultivate a chaotic supernatural power, it will be too heaven-defying. And Yi Tian really practiced the chaotic supernatural power Ji Yuan Yushin supernatural power on this day. Of course, it can only be called the prototype of the chaotic supernatural power. In the past, Yi Tian didn't understand why the God General had become a chaotic supernatural power, and could only be called the prototype of the chaotic supernatural power, but now he understands. Once the chaotic supernatural power is practiced, it will form the supernatural power life mark, and the supernatural power life mark can only exist in the life wheel. Only those who have the destiny and the emperor have the life wheel, which means that it is beyond destiny, and the fate of one's own life is transformed into the life wheel, without Fu's words. The God General has no life wheel, and cannot rely on the divine power life marks, so the chaotic supernatural powers that have been practiced can only be used like the great supernatural powers, and their power has dropped a lot, so they can only be called the prototype of the chaotic supernatural powers. Yi Tian felt that he had undergone a huge change after he practiced the chaotic supernatural power Ji Yuan Yushin supernatural power. The improvement of his strength to the mid-6 star stage is only second, and the most important thing is that his Tao realm has undergone a substantial transformation. My Tao state is already at the origin of perfection, and the next step is to condense the prototype of the avenue. Could it be that I can condense the prototype of the avenue now? Yi Tian said in surprise. He closed his eyes and took a closer look. Soon, he understood. Defense Avenue, Flesh Avenue. He actually felt the true meaning of these two avenues, and it seemed that he could already condense these two avenues. There are thousands of avenues, not the 12 attribute avenues of Chaos Avenue that Yi Tian majored in. Take the Avenue of Fire as an example, everyone's Avenue of Fire is different. Such as Agni Avenue, 200 Explosive Avenue, Huafeng Avenue. As for the Defense Avenue and the Fleshly Body Avenue, Yi Tian didn't study too much before. His major has always been the 12 attribute avenues, which are also the fundamental avenues. Ji Yuan Yushin divine ability is related to Defense Tao and Flesh Tao. Could it be that by practicing a Chaos divine ability, the corresponding Tao prototype can be condensed? Yi Tian guessed. If this is the case, as long as he collects the corresponding chaotic supernatural powers and trains them into a door of supernatural powers, he can condense the corresponding prototypes of the avenues. The prototype of Chaos Avenue is the strongest avenue prototype, which is composed of 12 kinds of avenues. If Yi Tian condenses the prototype of Chaos Avenue all at once, Yi Tian absolutely cannot do it, but it can be condensed one by one, and finally condenses into the prototype of Chaos Avenue. The Avenue of Defense and the Avenue of the Flesh cannot be condensed for the time being, otherwise I will focus on the Avenue of Defense and the Avenue of the Flesh, and the foundation is extremely important. I built the foundation on the Avenue of Chaos, and now I can't transform the avenue. The foundation is half ruined. As soon as he thought of this, Yi Tian gave up condensing the prototype of the defensive avenue and the prototype of the physical avenue. The Avenue of Time and Space is the strongest avenue. It is naturally the best to condense the foundation of the avenues with the avenues of time and space, and then slowly increase the prototypes of other avenues with the prototype of the Avenue of Time and Space. But the supernatural powers of time and space are too rare, and the auxiliary materials needed are estimated. It's so rare, I can't get it now, unless... 1. Yi Tian thought of Zushan Daozu. If he becomes the direct disciple of the Daozu of Zushan, is it possible to obtain the supernatural power of time and space and the innate origin of time and space? Chapter 862 97% of the virtual sky map. Fourth more. The virtual sky map, I must understand it thoroughly. 1 inch. Yi Tian muttered. These days, he rarely comprehends the virtual sky map, but he also comprehends the virtual sky map to the level of 30%, which is completely the benefit of Yi Tian's God-level extreme super enlightenment talent. Otherwise, it will definitely take a long time for him to comprehend 30% of the virtual sky map, and he will even get into a bottleneck, and he has never been able to comprehend this level. And when Yi Tian comprehended the illusory sky map, the outside world also caused a small sensation because of Yi Tian. Because Yi Tian once again entered the list of gods, and currently ranks 662nd on the list of gods. This ranking is indeed not high, but Yi Tian is a native creature of the great universe, and he is the only native god general who has entered the god general list. How high is his potential? This incident even shocked many god generals in Zushan Temple. At first, most of them did not respect this little master, but now this little master has become a 6-star midterm god general, and in the ranked first among the 6-star midterm gods. That's right, the gods before Yi Tian's ranking are all 6-star late-stage gods, and he is the first 6-star mid-stage god. If he was promoted at this speed, wouldn't Yi Tian be able to become a 7-star god general soon? However, the ranking of the god general's ranking does not really reflect a person's combat power. The god general's ranking is only ranked according to attack power, defense, and various secret techniques. What level of strength is the ranking? A high ranking does not mean that you are powerful, so some strong people restrain each other, and some people have secret skills of trump cards, these are not included. For example, if some mid-stage 6-star god generals are upped, their strength will skyrocket, and they can even kill 6-star late-stage god generals. In the eyes of other gods, Yi Tian's strength has improved so fast, his foundation is definitely not firm, his real combat power is not durable at all, and he may not even be able to defeat the powerful 6-star early-stage gods. However, Yi Tian did not pay attention to the comments of the world, and devoted himself to comprehending the virtual sky map, and he did not even go to the few opportunities that were born. The god-level extreme super enlightenment talent is too heaven-defying, plus Yi Tian's own perception is relatively high, plus some elixir to improve perception, etc. Yi Tian's progress in fully comprehending the virtual sky map is very fast. The only unfortunate thing is that there is no way to use the time acceleration for the Enlightenment Void Sky Map, otherwise it would be countless times easier. With Yi Tian's innate ability to comprehend the speed, at the beginning, 100 years can increase the progress of 1%, but after the comprehension progress to 40%, it takes 1,000 years to increase the 1% of the comprehension progress. In the blink of an eye, 60,000 years have passed. At this time, the entire cosmos developed extremely rapidly, and many new heavenly sovereigns were born, but the number of divine generals did not increase much, and even decreased to a certain extent. This is because the birth of a god general is inherently difficult, and the cultivation environment in the great universe is good, which does not mean that it is easy to attack the god general's combat power. The major forces have produced many gods, but the fall of gods is also very fast. There are too many opportunities in the universe, and every chance is born, it attracts many gods to compete, and some 1-star gods are fundamentally competing. However, those 6 or 7-star god generals fell and died one by one. Even the 6 or 7-star god generals have fallen and died, with heavy losses. In the meantime, there are also many gods who will dazzle the entire universe. One of them is the goddess Yunzi, whose strength has improved extremely fast, has reached the combat power of the 7-star gods, and is even about to reach the midterm 7-star gods, ranking 52nd on the gods list. With the opponent's cultivation speed, he is expected to rank first on the list of gods in the future. And Yi Tian has long been ignored, because his ranking did not rise, but he lost a few places. This is still a situation where many gods will fall. If the gods in front do not fall, his ranking is estimated to have fallen even more. Many gods in the Zushan temple even think that Yi Tian's potential has reached the limit, otherwise the strength will not increase in 60,000 years. In the environment of the big universe, cultivation became easier, the real genius strength increased very quickly. Yi Tian's strength didn't increase, then it means that he has no potential. Even Pengyu Tianjin sighed when he mentioned Yi Tian. However, no one knows that Yi Tian's real training time has all been given up, and he is comprehending the virtual sky map every minute and every second. Otherwise, how can there be no progress in strength? Yi Tian deeply understands what his goal is. Even if he becomes a late 6-star or 7-star god general, can he become a direct disciple of Zushin Daozu? Cannot. There are many 7-star god generals in the chaos, and even 8-star god generals. However, there are very few direct disciples of Zushin Daozu. From the distant era to the present, there have only been 71 direct disciples, some of which have fallen, and only 53 direct disciples remain. Among them, these direct disciples are all famous in chaos. From this, it can be seen how high the requirements of Zushin Daozu to select his own disciples. If he could become the direct disciple of Zushin Daozu, what would the mere 6-star god general and 7-star god general be? The virtual sky map has been comprehended to 97%. Yi Tian said excitedly. Originally, at the end of his comprehension, the difficulty should be getting higher and higher, but 30,000 years ago, he suddenly found that his soul had become incomparably solid, and his comprehension instantly skyrocketed. This is the skyrocketing basic comprehension, and with the blessing of the super comprehension talent, the comprehension has been raised to an extremely heaven-defying level. Because of this, he was able to comprehend the virtual sky map to 97% in such a short time. The virtual sky map can refine the soul and trigger the transformation of the soul when he understands the back. This is the situation he did not understand at the beginning. Perhaps many people in the Zushin temple don't know, and those who really know must be direct disciples, and it is impossible for those direct disciples to reveal the news. After all, in the eyes of others in the Hall of Void Heaven, the Void Sky Map is useless at all, and it is a waste of time to spend a long time comprehending. And when you reach the Destiny Realm, you can't comprehend the virtual sky map, which makes the secret of the virtual sky map unknown. In addition, Yi Tian felt that the effect of the virtual sky map to temper the soul was only incidental, and the real use of the virtual sky map should be the body, and the whole body. As for what the use is, Yi Tian may only be able to comprehend the virtual sky map to a 100% level, then it is possible to know. The last 3% is the hardest to comprehend, but at most 5,000 years, I can comprehend it thoroughly. Yi Tian said confidently. In order to fully comprehend the virtual sky map, Yi Tian even recovered the third deity and the fourth deity, lest because of the soul problem, the final step of the virtual sky map could not be fully understood. At this moment, the ancestral monument conveyed a message. After 10,000 years, the ancestral monument will be opened. Yi Tian didn't understand the space of the ancestral monument, but he soon learned about the mystery of the space of the ancestral monument from the mouths of other disciples of Zushin Temple. It turns out that the space of the ancestral monument is a place where opportunities can be found. Once you enter the space of the ancestral monument, you will have endless vitality, endless power of rules, and endless insights. In short, once you enter the space of the ancestral monument to comprehend and cultivate, your strength will improve very quickly. Some of the 7-star peak gods are waiting for the ancestral monument space to attack the 8-star gods. And it is not all the gods who can enter the space of the ancestral monument, but only the top 100 gods are eligible. Strictly speaking, Yi Tian would not be able to enter the ancestral monument space at all. However, if a divine general like Yi Tian defeated the top 100 divine generals on the divine generals list, even if he used a special method to defeat them, his actual combat power was not enough to be in the top 100, then he would be considered to be in the top 100. Therefore, in these 10,000 years, the gods who are very close to the top 100 will definitely be very crazy. And the other gods will have to wait for the next chance. Chapter 863 The Tao Ancestor and #039's Personal Biography. First update. The ancestral monument space, maybe I will have a chance to enter this time. Yi Tian thought to himself. However, he must fully comprehend the virtual sky map and become a direct disciple of the virtual ancestor, so that he has the opportunity to obtain the time-space chaotic supernatural power. There is even a chance to reach the top 100 of the gods. Of course, it's just a chance, and the difficulty is still sky high. Concentrating his mind, Yi Tian began to comprehend the virtual sky map with all his strength. 4,319 years later, Yi Tian finally fully understood the virtual sky map. At the moment when the virtual sky map was fully understood, an illusory virtual sky map appeared on the top of Yi Tian's head. Chaos, Virtual World. This is an ancestral world created by Zushin Daozu, and it is also the headquarters of Zushin's lineage. Void Heaven Realm, in Void Heaven Palace. Shu Tian Daozu was preaching to some direct disciples, and his eyes suddenly passed through countless spaces and looked at Yi Tian in the big universe. He seemed to feel something, and smiled slightly. Wait, there is another junior brother. Congratulations, Master. Congratulations, Master. Congratulations, Master. A group of direct disciples congratulated. They knew that Shu Tiandaozu was not talking about formal disciples, but direct disciples. Ordinary disciples are not eligible to become their junior disciples, only direct disciples are eligible for 200 points. Obviously, Daozu Zushin, who has not accepted a direct disciple for countless years, is about to accept another direct disciple. Wow! A wisp of consciousness of Zushin Daozu crossed the infinite void, quickly came to the outside of the big universe, and instantly entered the inside of the big universe. As long as his consciousness does not exert power and does not affect any creatures in the universe, nothing will happen. The big universe, the hall of virtual heaven. Pengyu Tianjin and other heavenly monarchs were cultivating when they suddenly sensed a strong aura, and they all woke up suddenly. I have seen Master. All the heavenly sovereigns looked at the supreme phantom in the void, and bowed down one after another. Shu Tiandaozu's consciousness is obviously intended to let other disciples know, otherwise he silently enters Yi Tian's closed room, no one will know. But it is a big thing for Zushin Daozu to receive his own disciples, and every time a grand event is held in Zushin realm. However, now Yi Tian is in the big universe, and he is a native creature of the universe. If he is not detached, even if he has a way to move Yi Tian out of the big universe, he will not dare to do so, otherwise Yi Tian's life will not be guaranteed. Although it is impossible to hold a grand banquet for direct disciples, at least it must be announced, and a teacher worship ceremony will be held inside the Zushin temple CJFI. Let all the disciples come back. The ancestral way of the virtual world. Yes, Pengyu Tianjin replied. Immediately, all the disciples of Zushin temple came out of the closed room and came here. And the disciples of the Zushin temple who were in the outside world also rushed back to the Zushin temple one by one. Except for some disciples who were in a special secret realm and could not be rushed back, almost all the other disciples arrived. And Yi Tian naturally came out, he saw Zushin Daozu and already understood the reason. When many disciples were there, Shu Tiandaozu said, "Today, the deity is going to accept another direct disciple." What? Direct disciple? All the disciples of Zushin temple were shocked. Others may not be clear, but Pengyu Tianjin is very clear about how high his master's standard for accepting his own disciples is. In his opinion, no disciple can be fortunate enough to become the direct disciple of Zushin Daozu. And Guang Tianjin is not weak, his talent is also very good, his cultivation is not as good as him, but his strength is not much weaker than him, but in Guang Tianjin's master is the disciple of Zushin Daozu. According to the generation, it is impossible for Zushin Daozu to accept Guang Tianjin as a direct disciple, otherwise it would not be in line with the rules. Therefore, the direct disciples that Zushin Daozu accepted this time can only be selected from among those named disciples or formal disciples, and the most likely one is the formal disciples. But although there are not many formal disciples here, there are not many. Who is it? Official disciples such as Pengyu Tianjin guessed at each other. Suddenly, Pengyu Tianjin thought of Yi Tian, but immediately shook his head secretly. Yi Tian has not progressed for tens of thousands of years, what qualifications does such a talent have to become the direct disciple of Zushin Daozu? Even some weaker juniors can't compare. Yi Tian, come forward. Zushin Daozu spoke again. Yi Tian stepped forward, bent down and said, "Master. Yi Tian, I have accepted you as a direct disciple for my teacher today, because you are in the great universe and cannot hold a grand banquet, so let's simply worship here now." Shu Tian Daozu said. "Thank you, Master." Yi Tian couldn't help but rejoice. Although he guessed that Zushin Daozu came to accept him as a direct disciple because he had fully understood the Zushin map, but the guess was speculation, and he was not excited until this moment was completely determined. Afterwards, Yi Tian followed the way of apprenticeship of Zushin's lineage, and performed the festival process one by one, and there were also rules that his disciples and teachers needed to establish, such as being able to deceive their teachers and destroy their ancestors, etc. Of course, these rules are just words and cannot really restrain a direct disciple, but if someone really dares to break these rules, Daozu Zushin will not condone it. When the apprenticeship was over, many disciples of Zushin temple called out, "Meet Daozi." Daozi is the name of Zushin's lineage to the disciples of Zushin Daozu. Even Pengyu Tianjin must call Yi Tian Daozi and dare not call Yi Tian a junior disciple. The only people who are truly qualified to call Yi Tian a junior disciple are other direct disciples. In order to celebrate Zushin Daozu receiving a direct disciple, Zushin Daozu preached for one day. This is also a great opportunity for other disciples. A day later, Shu Tian Daozu took Yi Tian into a side hall. How could this be? Yi Tian actually became the master's direct disciple. Many people in the Zushan temple could not accept it, especially the god General Otian, who was also a god. In terms of strength, he is a mid-stage 7-star general, and he is even about to enter the late 7-star stage, while Yi Tian is only a mid-6-star general. Although he is not a disciple of Zushan Daozu, he has not been valued and cultivated by Zushan's lineage either. Envy. That's right, Lord Odin is jealous. But there is no way, he did not dare to refute Shu Tian Daozu's decision. Official disciples such as Pengyu Tianjin were also very puzzled, and did not understand why Yi Tian became the direct disciple of Zushan Daozu. There are many ways to become a direct disciple of Zushan Daozu, and comprehension of Zushantu is only one of them, so these formal disciples did not think of Zushantu at once. Because there are too few Taoists who have become direct disciples because of Zushantu, most Taoists have become direct disciples through other means. Because of this, no one thought of the virtual sky map. And soon, the news of the birth of a Daozi in Zushan temple also spread, causing a sensation in the entire universe. Side hall. Yi Tian was alone with Zushan Daozu. Zushan Daozu looked at Yi Tian and said with a smile, "Teacher, are you curious about the Zushan map? What use is it, and why can you become a direct disciple if you understand it thoroughly?" Yes, the disciple is very curious. Yi Tian admitted. Chapter 864 Void Heaven Dao Body. Second update. Shu Tian Dao ancestor looked at Yi Tian and began to tell about the origin of Shu Tian too. The illusory sky map is a supreme method created for the master after becoming a Taoist for countless years, but the illusory sky map you comprehend is only the foundation, but it is also extremely important. Only by looking at the picture of the sky can you cultivate the truly supreme method, that is, the illusory heaven body. Void Heaven Dao Body. Yi Tian wondered. Zushan Daozu immediately explained the virtual heaven body. The Void Heaven Dao Body is a Dao body created by him. There are also various constitutions in the universe, such as the divine body, the holy body, and even the innate Dao body, but these constitutions are also known in the universe. Chaos is just a relatively ordinary physique. The Void Heaven Dao body is an extremely powerful physique in the entire primal chaos. Once the Void Heaven Dao body is possessed, the training speed will increase many times, and the combat power will skyrocket. For example, if a 6-star peak god general is activated, he can temporarily increase his strength and kill the weaker 7-star god general. This is the terrifying part of the virtual heaven body. At the beginning, increasing the training speed and increasing the combat power were only the external manifestations of the Void Heaven Taoist body. The reason why Zushan Daozu attaches great importance to the virtual heaven body is because once the virtual heaven body is condensed, it can condense Dao patterns at the level of earth respect. Easy. Why is it difficult to get along? That's because there is no point that fits the Dao at all, so it is necessary to use the ancestral monument to forcibly open up that point, so as to achieve the Dao. But if you condense the innate Dao body and condense a large number of Dao patterns, you can directly create that point, and you can successfully join the Dao without even needing an ancestral tablet. Of course, this step is difficult. After all, how many Dao patterns are needed? The Zushan Daozu is not very clear. After all, he has not practiced the Zushan Dao body. However, several of his direct disciples practiced the Void Heaven Dao body. Although there was no way to create that point, with the help of the ancestral monument, he easily found that point and successfully joined the Dao. That is to say, once you become a virtual heaven body, you can easily join the Dao as long as you find an ancestor monument in the future. This is a secret that only he and the few direct disciples who have practiced the Void Heaven Dao body know. This is also the reason why the Zushan lineage gave birth to several Taoist ancestors, but other forces only thought that the Zushan lineage was lucky. Can I be a Taoist? Yi Tian was not sure whether he could become a Dao patriarch. After all, no matter how powerful his copying talent is, he would only be able to assist him with many talents, but being a Dao patriarch has little to do with talent. Now, how could he not be excited when he learned that the Void Heaven Dao body could make him a Dao ancestor? Teacher, Zushan Daoist body only increases your chances of becoming a Daoist ancestor many times, but if you don't work hard, becoming a Daoist ancestor is still just empty talk. Zushan Daoist sighed. Disciple understands. Yi Tian agreed. Wow. As soon as Shu Tian Daozu pointed, a large amount of information poured into Yi Tian's mind. What appeared in his mind was the cultivation method of the virtual heaven body, and the core of this cultivation method was the rule root of the virtual sky map. Only those who thoroughly understood the virtual sky map could cultivate the virtual heaven body. The flesh will be shattered by the rules. Remember, the void body Tao body should not be passed on lightly, and the void sky diagram is fine. If someone has fully understood the void sky diagram, you can also accept disciples to teach the void sky Tao body. The void sky Tao body reminded. Yes, Yi Tian said gratefully. This kind of supreme method, Zushin Daozu does not limit it. What kind of heart is this? If he is, it is estimated that he can't do it. However, Zushin Daozu is an extremely powerful existence among Daozu, and maybe he doesn't care about Zushin Dao body at all. Teacher, you are now my direct disciple. In addition to the inheritance of the virtual world, you can also enjoy the treatment of Daozi, but this is not the virtual world, and your identity as a Taoist will not gain much benefit. Well, I will think the method is to send you a batch of resources to assist you in your cultivation. If you have any other requirements, you can also put forward them. The ancestral way of the virtual world. Yi Tian hurriedly said, Master, I want a chaotic supernatural power of time and space and the relative innate origin. After the disciple finds out that he has mastered the chaotic supernatural power, he can condense the prototype of the Tao. Therefore, the disciple wants to practice a chaotic supernatural power. Time and space chaotic supernatural power, condensed the prototype of the avenue of time and space, and then based on the prototype of the avenue of time and space, condensed the prototype of the avenue of chaos. Teacher, have you practiced a chaotic supernatural power? Shu Tian Daozu was a little surprised. This ray of his consciousness is actually not strong, and he does not carry any power, otherwise the origin of the great universe will not let him in. Katakana middle dot for flowers. Therefore, he couldn't see Yi Tian's situation. If his body was there, he could naturally see how many magical powers Yi Tian had practiced at a glance. Yi Tian immediately used Ji Yu Yuan's body protecting supernatural powers, and saw a layer of ancient Bell's body protecting light covering his whole body. Ji Yu Yuan Yushin divine ability, I didn't expect you to actually practice a chaos divine ability. Your practice is good, you are practicing the Chaos Tao. If you use Ji Yu Yuan Yushin divine ability corresponding to the Tao as the foundation, it will indeed affect your supreme foundation. But there is one thing, you think wrong. You have practiced the Chaos Avenue, but your fundamental avenue does not necessarily have to follow the Chaos Avenue. I don't know what your chances are, but I know that you should be able to condense a lot of Tao prototypes, so I suggest you endless Tao. Quote. Point 00. The ancestral way of the virtual world. Endless avenue. Yi Tian wondered. Yes, endless avenue, this is not one avenue, but countless kinds of avenues. Your chaos avenue is actually just a broken version, just a chaotic avenue composed of 12 attribute avenues. If you only condense 12 avenues, then it is not that powerful at all. You know, in the chaos, some powerful true ancestors even condensed dozens of avenues, which are dozens of complete avenues, said Zushin Daozu. What? Yi Tian was shocked. Zushin Daozu said again, Teacher, if you have practiced the virtual heaven body, you can inscribe the Tao pattern on the virtual heaven body, and one road represents one road pattern. If you condense the prototype of the time and space road, the virtual heaven body you can condense the time and space Tao patterns. If there is a chance, before you become the heavenly mandate, try to condense as many Tao prototypes as possible, not limited to 12 Tao, other Tao should also be involved one by one, the condensed Tao lines the more the better. For others, cultivating more Tao is not a good thing, and intensive cultivation is the kingly way. But you are different, your goal is the Tao ancestor, and the goal of others is only the true ancestor. As the goal, building more avenues is a bad thing. Shu Tian Daozu said a lot, Yi Tian gradually understood. At this moment, he has found the way that suits him best. That's right, he can completely use the copied talent to condense countless prototypes of the Tao, and advance the virtual heaven body to a very terrifying level. At that time, he can achieve the position of Tao ancestor by himself without even needing an ancestral monument. Chapter 865 Time and Space Teleportation. 3rd. Teacher, if you want the time-space chaotic supernatural power and the corresponding innate source, the other resource rewards will be much lower, not because the teacher is unwilling to give you those resources. In fact, those resources are for the teacher. It's just an ordinary thing, but the reward for the teacher and the apprentice will never be biased, it's as much as it should be. 1. Shu Tian Daozu, Tao. Master, this disciple understands. Yi Tian replied, okay. 1 year later, that chaotic supernatural power and the relative innate origin and other Daozi reward resources will be sent to the big universe. Zushin Daozu said. Thank you Master. Yi Tian said excitedly. Wow. Shu Tian Daozu left. After Yi Tian came out of the side hall, he was surrounded by many disciples of Zushan Temple and many heavenly monarchs. I have seen Daozi, 20-0, one after another, gods and emperors greeted each other. Afterwards, Pengyu Tianjin and others wanted to inquire from Yi Tian why Yi Tian could become the disciple of Zushan Daozu, but Yi Tian didn't say anything. Although one can become a direct disciple by comprehending the Zushan map, this is a well-known thing in the Zushan lineage. But there are too few direct disciples who comprehend the Toksu Tiantu, so Yi Tian will not reveal it, and this is one of his trump cards and secrets. So, Yi Tian just said that his talent is very good, and not much else. The residence of the gods and demons. Today's gods and demons have long been integrated. Although the gods and demons have also found a backer and barely survived in such a big universe era, the first god and the first devil have also been promoted to god generals, but due to chance limited, the two are still one-star generals and they are still ants in the huge universe. And the news that Yi Tian became the ancestor of Taoism spread quickly to the major forces in the universe, and even the gods and demons heard the news. The general of the laws of God has actually become a direct descendant of the Taoist ancestors. The first god and the first demon side. Their current knowledge is not as short as before, and they naturally understand how the Taoist ancestors exist. In their eyes, Tianming realm Tianjin is an unimaginable powerhouse, and only countless Tianjin can give birth to a true ancestor, and only a large number of true ancestors hope to give birth to a Taoist ancestor. And it is said that the master of the gods of all methods is a very powerful existence among the Taoist ancestors, and even has several Taoist disciples. What is the identity of the Taoist ancestors, even surpassing some true ancestors to a certain extent? Once upon a time, they regarded Yi Tian as ants, but now the gap between the two sides is getting bigger and bigger. Yi Tian has already regarded them as ants. The Protoss and the human race also had some frictions. He also wanted to deal with Yi Tian. Fortunately, the two sides hadn't gone to the point of becoming enemies, otherwise the Protoss would have long since existed today. Not only the gods and demons were shocked, but also the gods and gods who knew Yi Tian. Although Yi Tian was very strong, they were only slightly weaker than Yi Tian before, and there was not much difference in other aspects. But now, Yi Tian has become a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors without a sound, and this status is at the peak of the universe at once. God of War Tower. Goddess Yunzi had just learned the news of Yi Tian, and called a heavenly monarch. This heavenly sovereign was a heavenly sovereign on the list of heavenly sovereigns. His strength was extremely powerful, and his name was Zishan Heavenly Sovereign. However, the monarch in purple shirt, who is admired by outsiders and whose strength is monstrous, is her bodyguard. A Tianjin is listed as a guardian, which shows the high status of the goddess Yunzi in the Tower of the God of War. In fact, any Taoist ancestors have guards, and some top Taoist ancestors even have those who are weak. However, the true ancestor cannot enter the great universe, otherwise, the Tower of the God of War may indeed find a true ancestor to serve as a guard for the goddess Yunzi. Tianjin Zishan, do you know the situation of the god of all methods? Why was he suddenly accepted as a direct disciple by the Taoist ancestor? The standard of the direct disciple of the Taoist ancestor is very high, but he will not accept disciples indiscriminately. Cloud Purple Goddess asked curiously. His Royal Highness, I don't know very well. It was rumored that this god of all laws will not be able to gain an inch in strength for tens of thousands of years. Now it seems that it is to complete a certain assessment. Now that the assessment is completed, it has received the attention of the Taoist ancestor, and thus obtained the personal inheritance. The identity of the disciple. As for the specific situation, I am afraid that even those heavenly monarchs in the Zushan temple do not know. Zishan Tianjin said. Some of the Taoist ancestors basically came in the second batch. I came in the first batch. I thought I could take the lead, but I didn't expect another Taoist ancestor to be born in the big universe. This Taoist ancestor may be my competitor. Quote. Cloud Purple Goddess murmured. Tianjin Zishan immediately smiled and said, His Royal Highness is joking, how can the general Taoist ancestors be compared with His Royal Highness? Tao body, even qualified to participate in the ancestral monument of this great universe. Goddess Yunzi shook her head and said, Don't underestimate any Taoist ancestor, I have a great chance, and other people will naturally have a chance. If you underestimate other people, you will never know when they will be surpassed. Zishan Tianjin, you in the future, pay more attention to the personal biography of this Taoist ancestor, and if there is any secret information, let me know immediately. 1. Yes, Your Highness, the purple-shirted Tianjin replied. After Yi Tian became a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, he did not show off everywhere, but soon entered into a retreat. This time, he is going to practice the Void Heaven Tao body. In the blink of an eye, a year has passed. This day, a reward was delivered to Yi Tian, personally delivered by Peng Yu Tianjin and others. They would not dare to covet the reward from Mo's direct disciple unless they didn't want to live anymore. After getting the reward, Yi Tian couldn't wait to open it. A piece of chaotic supernatural power inheritance, a piece of innate origin, and some cultivation resources. These cultivation resources are basically used to assist the cultivation of Xuanshu art and Void Heaven Dao body. 5.8 After all, cultivating Void Heaven Dao body also requires resources, but there are not many. What Yi Tian values most at present is that time-space chaotic supernatural power inheritance. Its name is time-space transfer technique. The time-space teleportation technique is the 21st chaotic supernatural power in the chaotic supernatural power. The inheritance of this chaotic supernatural power is inestimable, and the time-space heart that assists the practice of the time-space teleportation technique is extremely precious. It is a priceless treasure for you. If Yi Tian became a biography, he estimated that after countless years of accumulation, he would not even think about buying a heart of 3. If you don't practice the time and space transfer technique, you must first practice the virtual heaven body. Then you can practice the time and space transfer technique, condense the prototype of the time and space road, and you can inscribe the 2 lines, and the virtual sky body will be one step closer. Yi Tian thought so. So, he began to practice the virtual heaven body with all his strength. Chapter 866 Void Heaven Dao Body Formation, Time and Space Movement Technique Formation. Fourth more. The virtual heaven body is both a system and a practice. Yi Tian cultivates the virtual heaven body, and must cultivate the whole body step by step. Skin refining, bone refining, meat refining, blood refining, tendon refining, internal organs refining, and soul refining. These steps are similar to when they were just cultivating, but they are fundamental changes, transforming the physical body with the rules of the virtual sky, and creating the virtual body. And each step requires some corresponding resources. Fortunately, Zushin Daozu sent the resources, otherwise he would not be able to practice the Zushin Dao body. Yi Tian has already been familiar with the exercises in the past year and has become proficient in cultivation, so with the resources, Yi Tian began to practice from skin refining. Time passed slowly. Yi Tian's progress was very fast. Skin, bones, flesh and blood, tendons, internal organs, were changing every moment. In a flash, 3,000 years have passed. On this day, Yi Tian completed the tempering of all the body positions of the virtual heaven body, and even completed the tempering of the soul. In an instant, a fusion force was generated everywhere in the body, and a phantom energy flowed through the whole body, ushering in a huge physical transformation. At this moment, Yi Tian really created the body of the virtual world. The strength is rising, the soul is transforming, and even the divine power of the whole body is beginning to transform. The only thing Yi Tian felt a pity was that 18% of his true blood had been refined, a special kind of blood, not true blood, nor ordinary blood, but the blood of the virtual heaven body. Yi Tian gave this kind of blood a name, called Zushin True Blood. In fact, this kind of blood fully possesses the characteristics of true blood, but its strength is not weaker than true blood at all. As soon as the Void Heaven Dao body became complete, Yi Tian's strength skyrocketed. On the ancestral monument, originally, Yi Tian had dropped to the 668th place on the list of gods, but now his ranking has risen sharply. Number 192 on the list of gods, all-powerful gods, 6-star peak gods. In one breath, Yi Tian's strength increased from a mid-6-star god general to a 6-star peak god general, which really shocked everyone. Immediately, many people speculated that Yi Tian had definitely practiced an earth-shattering secret technique. Before, his strength could not be improved, but he was delayed by this secret technique. But now, the secret technique has been completed, and the strength has skyrocketed to the peak of the 6-star. There are even people who speculate that this secret technique is related to Yi Tian becoming a direct disciple, and in the Zushin lineage, there are indeed rumors that secret techniques can become a direct disciple. Therefore, this statement has been approved. Yi Tian's strength skyrocketed, and many god generals immediately regarded Yi Tian as a competitor. After all, with Yi Tian's talent and fighting power, if he was promoted to the 7-star god general, he would definitely be able to enter the top 100 god generals list. If this is the case, then Yi Tian is qualified to enter the ancestral monument space. For a time, many god generals who were on the list of more than 90 god generals felt the pressure. After Yi Tian practiced the Void Heaven Dao body, he still didn't go out, but started to practice the time and space transfer technique. Time and space teleportation is an extremely powerful chaotic supernatural power. Once mastered this chaotic supernatural power, no one in the general level will be able to kill him. It is not even an exaggeration that some powerful heavenly sovereigns don't even want to catch him easily. After all, this is the top 21st chaotic supernatural power, and it is also a time-space chaotic supernatural power. What kind of powerful supernatural power is this? It is not even an exaggeration to say that some of the true ancestors of waste materials may not be able to catch him with a single method. Of course, the premise of everything is that Yi Tian can practice the time-space teleportation technique. In the days that followed, Yi Tian practiced the time-space teleportation technique and Xuanshu art at the same time. After cultivating the void heaven Dao body, Yi Tian practiced the mysterious void art very quickly, and the master also gave him a lot of resources, so the cultivation speed was naturally faster. The Xuanshu Ju of the 6th level entry-level realm began to rise to the 6th level entry-level peak of Xuanshu Ju, and then progressed towards the 6th level Shaochang. And Yi Tian's 6-star peak God General's combat power has gradually stabilized, and is progressing towards 7-star God General. Another 2,000 years have passed, Yi Tian's mysterious art has broken through to the 6th layer Dachang realm, and his strength has finally completed the breakthrough, stepping into the combat power of the gods in the early stage of the 7 stars. At this time, he reached the 109th place in the ranking of the gods, and he was slowly improving, and it was possible to enter the top 100 at any time. The opening day of the ancestral monument space is getting closer and closer, so the top 100 god generals in the universe are challenged more and more frequently, and some thick-skinned god generals are hiding, for fear of being challenged successfully, resulting in ranking fall out of the top 100. And on this day, Yi Tian finally practiced the time-space teleportation technique. At the moment when the time and space teleportation technique was practiced, his ranking directly entered the 94th place on the list of gods, and he successfully ranked among the top 100 on the list of gods. There are only a few decades left, and it is too late to condense the prototype of the space-time avenue and inscribe the Tao pattern, but after all, I have reached the top 100 of the gods and is eligible to enter the ancestral monument space. Maybe I can directly enter the ancestral monument space. Condensed the prototype of the space-time avenue, and even engraved 2 Tao lines, so that the strength skyrocketed again. Yi Tian thought. So, he went out. When he left the border, it caused a sensation. At this time, the first challenge came. The Sea of Waves, the Bone God will come to challenge the Daozi of Wanfa. Wanfa Daozi is Yi Tian's new name now, and it is also the respect of others to Yi Tian. Heavy Bone God General, it's him. Some god generals in Tianjin in Zushan Temple frowned. 200 Kanglanghai is just an ordinary great force, it doesn't even have a Taoist ancestor, there is only one true ancestor, but the ancient gods are very extraordinary, the 7-star early gods are good at defense, and their defensive power is extremely terrifying. God will have difficulty breaking his defense. The Heavy Bones God General was only slightly weaker in attack power, so he was ranked 102nd on the God General ranking, and he had not yet reached the top 100 on the God General ranking, so he was very anxious. No one thought that he would put his target on Yi Tian. Outside the Hall of Void Heaven, wearing a defensive armor, the Bone God General stood in the void and roared loudly. This time, he challenged Yi Tian was chosen temporarily, who made Yi Tian just into the top 100. Of course, he was not stupid, he challenged Yi Tian only when he was sure. He died very high, really fast, must be better than him. In his opinion, Yi Tian can only use some kind of secret technique to have the strength of the top 100 generals of the gods, and there must be flaws in other aspects. If only the attack power is strong, and other aspects are weak, he has a great confidence in Yi Tian. Beat. After all, he is invincible in defense, and he is not afraid of divine generals who specialize in attacking power. Wow! A figure appeared in front of the Heavy Bone God General, followed by a group of god generals in Tianjin. This person is Yi Tian. Are you going to challenge me? Yi Tian stared at the god of heavy bones and said. Chapter 867 The Bone God will be defeated. First update. That's right, the god of heavy bones stared at Yi Tian and said solemnly. Yes, but not everyone can challenge me. If you want to challenge me, you have to add some lottery. If you win, I will lose you 100 Tao coins, if I win, you will lose to me. 100 Tao coins, how? Yi Tian said with a smile. 100 Tao coins. Many gods were shocked when they heard it. This is not a small amount. Most of the gods have only a few Tao coins in their entire net worth, and even those with less fortune have only 1 Tao coin. A big bet of 100 Dao coins will make even the strongest of destiny feel distressed. The heavy bone god general frowned. As a 7-star god general, he has a high status in the Kanglang Sea, and has many opportunities, so his net worth is very rich, and he can get 100 Dao coins. But to him, 100 Dao coins are also a huge wealth. If he wins, he will make a lot of money, but if he loses, he will lose miserably. This is undoubtedly a gamble. Bet. The heavy bone god was hesitant, although he had the confidence to defeat Yi Tian, but he was afraid of the eventuality. The bet was proposed by Yi Tian, which shows that Yi Tian has enough self-confidence. But if he didn't gamble, he wouldn't be able to challenge Yi Tian today, and he would even be ridiculed. Okay, I bet, the heavy bone god said. In front of the Hall of Void Heaven. The other gods in Tianjin dispersed, and Pengyu Tianjin and others joined forces to set up a barrier, allowing Yi Tian to compete with the heavy bone gods so that it would not cause too much damage. Otherwise, this area will be blasted by 2 people. Within the boundary, Yi Tian and the god of heavy bones will look at each other and fight immediately. The bone god general activated a great supernatural power, and his whole body was wrapped in black bones, which made his defense power skyrocket. Immediately afterwards, a black bone hammer appeared in the hand of the heavy bone god general. I saw Changgu slam the hammer at Yi Tian. In an instant. Boom, the void burst, and terrifying power swept in. At this time, Yi Tian also slashed with one sword, showing the might of the 7 stars god general. The first time they fought, the bone god general did not move at all. The powerful physical defense directly immunized those shocks, and Yi Tian's void heaven Dao body was not used, but it also annihilated the force of the shock invisibly. The next moment, the 2 really fought each other. The speed of the 2 was extremely fast, and they collided countless times every moment. The heavy bones god general looks cumbersome, but his speed is not slow at all, and Yi Tian has never used the eternal light divine ability, but his speed is not slow at all, as if he was born with a supernatural speed. He is extremely fast. Great immortality, great destruction. Yi Tian really exploded his strength. Although these 2 great supernatural powers did not increase him much attack power, their combat ability has skyrocketed. Yi Tian didn't react at all even though the attack of the heavy bone god general fell on his body. The great indestruction technique made him ignore these attacks, and the injury caused by the great destruction technique was not easy to recover. Gradually, the heavy bone god will start to become weak. Great immortality, great destruction. The heavy bones god will be full of shock and disbelief. This is one of the top 100 supernatural powers among the 3,000 supernatural powers. If any one of the gods masters one of them, it will be enough to make countless gods and heavenly monarchs envy. And Yi Tian not only practiced, but also practiced 2 disciplines, and the 2 disciplines have reached the realm of great achievement, which is also one of Yi Tian's progress in these years. One side of the Hall of Void Heaven. Pengyu Tianjin also shrank his pupils, and suddenly felt incredible. Wanfa Daozi actually practiced the great immortality technique and great destruction technique, and he just performed the Hengguang divine ability, which are all very powerful magical abilities. How did he do it? Pengyu Tianjin was very curious. After all, Yi Tian is a native creature of the great universe, and has never entered the chaos. He can practice so many top-notch supernatural powers only within the great universe. This talent is too terrifying. No, it should be said that the chance is too terrible. He has also practiced some great supernatural powers and even chaotic supernatural powers, but they are all supernatural powers that cannot be ranked, far from being comparable to supernatural powers such as the great immortality technique and the great destruction technique. Heavy bones. The heavy-boned god general also worked hard, and his body instantly turned into a skeleton. This was his heavy-boned body, which was integrated into his bones with the strength of his entire body, casting a heavy-boned body, and his combat power skyrocketed. However, in the face of Yi Tian's several great supernatural powers, the bone god general was still unable to compete. With the passage of time, the heavy bone body of the heavy bone god general was directly torn apart. At the moment of his fall, the bone god general conceded defeat. Wanfa Daozi, I admit defeat. The bone god will be lonely. Once he admits defeat, he will lose 100 Dao coins, not to mention his face, which is a huge loss. But if he doesn't admit defeat, he will be beaten to death by Yi Tian. He also had a rough idea of Yi Tian's strength. Although Yi Tian is only the 94th on the Divine General ranking, even if he is the 89th Divine General on the Divine General ranking, even if his combat power is stronger than Yi Tian, he may be consumed by Yi Tian alive. The god of heavy bones regretted it very much. Why did he have to challenge Yi Tian? It will take a long time to fully recover from the heavy damage this time, and the space for the ancestral monument is about to open, and it will be too late to challenge him when he recovers from the injury. That is to say, this time the ancestral monument space has no chance with him. Quote. Heavy Bone God General, 100 Dao coins, bring it. Yi Tian said seriously. The Bone God General didn't dare not give it. He took out dozens of Dao coins from the storage space, and took out some Chaos Spirit dead treasures, resources, and ores, which were enough for 100 Dao coins. Treasure, this was handed over to Yi Tian. Yi Tian took a look and estimated the value. After confirming that these were enough for 100 Dao coins, he put them away. God of Heavy Bones, challenges are welcome at any time. Yi Tian laughed. The Heavy Bones God General hurriedly turned around and left, not daring to stay any longer. Afterwards, Changgu Shen spread the news of the failure of the challenge, and it did not cause any sensation. After all, Yi Tian's ranking was already higher than that of the Bone Gods, and it was not just one place higher. It was normal for him to win. But some God Generals in Tianjin who knew the battle situation really recognized the horror of Yi Tian. In this battle, Yi Tian fully exposed the 3 great supernatural powers, all of which belong to the 3,000 great supernatural powers. In a flash, decades have passed. On this day, the ancestral monument space was opened. Chapter 868 Enter the ancestral monument space. Second. Boom. The ancestral monument shook, and a portal appeared above. This portal is the entrance to the ancestral monument space. This portal is between illusion and reality. Unless it is the true ancestor, it will not be touched at all. Some Earth venerables who did not understand the space of the ancestral monument tried to enter the portal, but passed through the portal and did not enter the space of the ancestral monument at all, but seemed to pass through the air. At the beginning, a God General explained, "It's useless, only the top 100 God Generals on the God General list can enter the ancestral monument space through the portal, for others, the ancestral monument space does not exist at all." Some Earth venerables thought it was a chance, but after learning the truth, they were all disappointed. Whoa. The top 100 God Generals on the list of God Generals came one by one, and each of them was admired and envied by countless God Generals, and naturally there were also envious people. After a while, the goddess Yunzi came, causing a sensation. Compared with the original, the strength of the goddess Yunzi has skyrocketed, and it has reached the mid-term combat power of the 7 stars, ranking 32nd on the list of gods. Most of the 7-star God Generals are early-stage 7-star gods, and the gap between 7-star early-stage and 7-star mid-stage is very large. For example, Yi Tian is only a first-time 7-star God General, so he is not high in the 200th place, but in fact his combat power is more than this ranking. Although Goddess Yunzi was ranked 32nd, she was a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, and she must have a trump card. Even the top 20 generals on the list of gods would not dare to ignore Goddess Yunzi. A divine general who truly understands the direct inheritance of Taoist ancestors would not dare to offend or challenge a divine general directly inherited from Taoist ancestors. It would be foolish to challenge Yi Tian, such as the God General of Heavy Bones, who do not have much backing. There is no way. The Kanglang Sea where the Bone God General is located is just an ordinary great force. There is only one Taoist ancestor, and he is not a very powerful true ancestor. How can we know the horror of the disciples of the Taoist ancestors? Not long after Yunzi goddess arrived, Yi Tian also arrived. At this moment, Goddess Yunzi looked at Yi Tian, as if she wanted to see through Yi Tian. But she can't see through Yi Tian, and Yi Tian can't see through the Goddess Yunzi. He only knows the talent of the Goddess Yunzi, but a person's talent is not a big secret, is the real secret. I'm afraid I'm far from her opponent now, Yi Tian said very consciously. After all, Goddess Yunzi is also a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, and she is a true Taoist ancestor. She has been taught by Taoist ancestors, and her trump card is not something he can imagine. Moreover, the Goddess Yunzi has been passed down by Taoist ancestors for a long time, so naturally it is not easy. Yi Tian knew his details. Although he was also passed down by Taoist ancestors, because he was in the big universe, he couldn't enjoy many benefits. Too few cards, too few. What's more, he was able to become a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, all thanks to the Goddess Yunzi's extreme super real talent. Strictly speaking, the Goddess Yunzi created him invisibly. Wanfa Daozi, hello. Goddess Yunzi took the initiative to say hello. Goddess Yunzi is polite. Yi Tian smiled slightly and said, Wanfa Daozi, it is said that you rose from the mid-6 star to the peak of the 6 star in an instant, and then to the early stage of the 7 star in a short period of time. I don't know how you did it. Yunzi goddess's eyes flashed purple, and she said in a very soft tone. In an instant, Yi Tian felt a shock in his soul, and the whole person seemed to be about to tell a secret. But he quickly woke up and said quickly, no secret, just high talent. But in his heart, he was shocked. Goddess Yunzi estimated that she had used some kind of magic power just now. If he hadn't cultivated the phantom body and transformed his soul, he probably wouldn't have been able to stop this magic power. Although he didn't know he was completely charmed, he couldn't help but tell his secrets. That's bad. Goddess Yunzi didn't care when she saw that her charm and magical powers were invalid. In her opinion, this was very normal, CJFI. If it succeeded, it would mean that Yi Tian was too hot. The two only had a preliminary confrontation, and it was not a big hatred. Although Yi Tian was a little annoyed, he didn't care anymore, he was just testing himself. If he was really annoyed and angry, his mood would be too low. If his strength is far superior to the goddess Yunzi, he might as well teach the goddess Yunzi a lesson, but his current strength is indeed not as good as the goddess Yunzi, so he will not seek abuse. Wanfa Daozi, I'm going first. If there is a chance in the future, I can have a good exchange. After Yunzi goddess finished speaking, she flew into the space of the ancestral monument. Yi Tian smiled slightly and flew in immediately. The ancestral monument space, which seems to be boundless, is actually not very large. But the vitality here is too rich, endless vitality, endless rules, endless insights. All this is not a legend, but reality. After Yi Tian entered here, he immediately felt his body jumping, showing how precious this place was. The ancestral monument space is divided into small spaces, and each small space allows only one person to enter. Once someone enters this small space, other people have no way to break in. In this way, avoid being disturbed. Otherwise, in the process of comprehension and cultivation, once you are disturbed, you may lose all your achievements. According to legends, the ancestral monument space is only opened for 1,000 years at a time, and time talent cannot be used here, and can only be learned according to the time here. After 1,000 years, the ancestral monument space will be closed, and everyone will be kicked out. This is the rule of the ancestral monument space, and no one can violate it. Goddess Yunzi chose a small space, and after entering it, she could comprehend and practice. Yi Tian also chose a small space at random, and kept away from the goddess Yunzi, so that his secrets would not be spied on by the goddess Yunzi. After entering the small space, Yi Tian focused on three uses. A small part of his mind comprehended the mysterious void art, a small part of his mind cultivated the void heaven Tao body, and the other part comprehended the space-time Tao, trying to condense the prototype of the space-time Tao. Boom! Endless perception wrapped Yi Tian, and endless vitality poured into his body, helping him to temper his body and temper his illusory body. In such an environment, Yi Tian progressed too fast. Originally, according to Yi Tian's estimation, if he wanted to condense the prototype of the avenue of time and space, it would take at least 100,000 years, but now Yi Tian feels that he can completely condense the prototype of the avenue of time and space within a few hundred years. One's own endless avenue creates the first supreme foundation. Moreover, he even hoped to inscribe 2 Tao patterns in the space of the ancestral monument. Chapter 869, the 19th place on the list of gods. As time passed, every god in the ancestral monument space was working hard to cultivate, and no one was willing to waste time. For them, the ancestral monument space is a big chance, a real big chance. Especially for those 7-star peak god generals, the ancestral monument space is their chance to become 8-star god generals. If they want to attack the 8-star god general in the outside world, it is too difficult. Even in the chaos, the chance that some 7-star peak god general can break into the 8-star god general is extremely rare. In the chaos, although 7-star gods are rare, there are still some of the major forces, but it is too difficult to want 8-star gods. Even among the powers with Daozu, only the direct disciples and the top god generals can step into the ranks of the 8-star god generals, which shows how difficult it is. Therefore, it is their luck to be able to enter the ancestral monument space this time, and it can even be said to be their only chance. If they can't even break through to the ranks of the 8-star god general in the space of the ancestral monument, then they can only choose to break through to become the heavenly destiny realm heavenly sovereign. In the blink of an eye, 6,000 years have passed. Yi Tian opened his eyes and looked around, only to find that goddess Yunzi had already made a breakthrough and became a god general in the late stage of the 7 stars, and her strength increased very quickly. On the contrary, it seems that his strength has not improved very quickly, and he has not even reached the peak of the early stage of 7 stars, but he is much stronger than when he first entered here. For example, his Xuanshuju has already entered the 6th level of perfection, and he is not far from the 7th level of Xuanshuju. But the real harvest is the prototype of the avenue. He is about to achieve the prototype of the avenue. Once the prototype of the space-time avenue is condensed, his strength will skyrocket, and he does not know how much he can improve. Let's start. Yi Tian is all ready, and will start to condense the prototype of the avenue of time and space. Small universe inside the body. Yi Tian's primordial bead of chaos Tao appeared, and immediately began to evolve the Tao, and the infinite source power emerged, slowly consolidating the Tao. This step can actually be carried out in the outside world, but it is too conspicuous, so Yi Tian evolved in the body, and there is a small space barrier. The other gods in the outside world do not know that he is already condensing the prototype of the avenue. The prototype of the avenue is 1,000 kilometers as the entry point. As long as the kilometers of avenues are condensed, it can be regarded as the prototype of the avenues. According to normal circumstances, the prototype of the avenue is 100 meters wide, and the space-time avenue is a fusion of 2 days of avenues, so the width of the condensed prototype of the avenue is 200 meters. Boom! The 200-wide avenue was condensed out by the power of the source, but it was very unstable, because its length was only a few tens of centimeters. As Yi Tian continued to condense, the length of the prototype of the avenue became longer and longer. 1 meter, 10 meters, 100 meters. With the passage of time, the length of the prototype of the avenue is getting longer and more stable. About a few decades later, the prototype of the avenue finally grew to 1,000 meters long. At the same time, the prototype of the avenue is completely stable. At the moment when the prototype of the avenue was completely stabilized, Yi Tian's soul vibrated, and under the influence of the prototype of the avenue, it began to slowly improve and became stronger and stronger. And the small universe in the body also began to expand, as if to expand to the extent that it could withstand the prototype of the avenue. In addition, Yi Tian's divine power also began to change. Boom! Xuanshuju broke through the bottleneck in an instant and stepped into the 7th layer realm of Xuanshuju, which led to Yi Tian's strength also breaking through again, stepping into the realm of the mid-stage 7-star general, not the first time entering the mid-stage 7-star general, but he has directly reached the peak of the mid-7-star god general, and is only one step away from entering the late-stage 7-star god general. Such a huge leap in strength is naturally not only the breakthrough of Xuanshu art, but also the cohesion of the prototype of the Tao. The prototype of the Great Tao has greatly increased the strength, which means that Yi Tian has surpassed other gods and stepped into another level, and belongs to the same level as those heavenly monarchs who are on the road of the true ancestor. At the general level, it is almost impossible to condense the prototype of the Tao. Only when you reach the destiny realm will you try to condense the prototype of the Tao, and it will take a long time. Some of the peak Tianjin of the destiny realm who are not talented enough have not condensed the prototype of the Tao. It can be said that Yi Tian is already one step ahead of others. There are also Tao lines. Once the time and space are inscribed, the virtual world will experience transformation, my strength will skyrocket again, and maybe I will enter the late 7-star god general's combat power. Yi Tian thought to himself. Although this strength increase is too exaggerated, but he is now a Taoist ancestor, who dares to explore his secrets? Who dares to question him? Therefore, Yi Tian did not hesitate at all, and directly began to inscribe the Tao pattern. The Tao pattern engraved on the body of the virtual heaven body is a combination of the power of the avenue and the power of the source, and a rule inscribed with the help of the prototype of the avenue. Ask for flowers. Of course, with his current state, he can't really understand the illusory Tao body and Tao patterns, and he can only practice step by step. The first thing Yi Tian inscribed was the space Tao pattern. In such an environment as the space of the ancestral monument, the speed of engraving the Tao pattern was very fast. After all, his comprehension had increased to an unimaginable level. It takes a long time. 10 years, century, millennium. Since Yi Tian was the first to inscribe Tao patterns, he was not very skilled, so he wasted a lot of time. It took 2,520 years to finally successfully inscribe the space Tao patterns on the virtual heaven body. Tao lines formed, and Yi Tian's eyebrows showed a Tao line pattern. This is a Tao pattern that can only appear if the virtual heaven body is completely stimulated. If the virtual heaven body is not completely erupted, other people will not be able to detect this line. 0.00. When the Tao pattern was completed, the void heaven Tao body began to frantically absorb the vitality here, and Yi Tian also took out some resources to assist in the cultivation of the void heaven Tao body to speed up the transformation of the void heaven Tao body. The transformation of the virtual heaven body, Yi Tian's strength and whole body are improving, but the extent of this improvement is not too exaggerated. After all, it is only a Tao pattern. After a long time, the transformation was over. Yi Tian began to condense the second Tao pattern, the time Tao pattern. This time the Tao pattern was inscribed on the back of the head, corresponding to the space Tao pattern. The second time to inscribe the Tao pattern, Yi Tian is more skilled even if it is a different Tao pattern. It only took 2,000 years to completely inscribe the Tao pattern of this time, which made the virtual heaven Tao body improve a lot again. At this moment, Yi Tian's real power rose by a large margin, already reaching the battle power of the late 7-star God General. God will be on the list. Yi Tian, who was only the 94th on the God General ranking, has now risen to the 19th place on the God General ranking. Outside world, countless gods and heavenly monarchs were dumbfounded when they saw that Yi Tian had reached the 19th place on the list of gods in just 10,000 years. What is even more exaggerated is that Yi Tian surpassed the goddess Yunzi, and the goddess Yunzi was only ranked 20th. Goddess Yunzi is also a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, and it is not an ordinary direct descendant of Taoist ancestors. Her previous strength was far above Yi Tian, but now she was surpassed by Yi Tian in a short period of time. This represents how terrifying Yi Tian's talent is. Originally, Yi Tian was a little unconvinced that Yi Tian became a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, but now he is convinced one by one. Chapter 873,000 Thunder. Second. Whoa whoa whoa. One by one, the top 100 God Generals on the God General list were removed from the space of the ancestral monument. Originally, they were cultivating, but they were suddenly moved out. These gods sighed one after another, lamenting that there was too little time. If they can, they even want to practice in the space of the ancestral monument for hundreds of millions of years, but that is obviously impossible. After the top 100 God Generals on the God General list came out, they looked at the God General list on the ancestral monument, and the ranking on the above list had changed greatly. Originally, the inanimate god will always be ranked first, but now it is only ranked fourth. At this time, the godless general is still at the peak of the 7-star God General. Obviously, in the tens of thousands of years in the ancestral monument space, he still has not broken the shackles, which means that he has reached the limit and there is no way to improve. Everyone can see that the lifeless god will be lonely. Many God Generals are familiar with the lifeless God General, 20-0. This is an ancient God General who has lived for a long time, and it can even be said that his lifespan is not very long. Entering the big universe this time, it was a good improvement to be promoted from the late stage of 7 stars to the peak of 7 stars by luck, but unfortunately he couldn't continue to improve. Of course, compared with 10,000 years ago, the strength of the inanimate generals has improved a lot. After all, the peak 7-star generals are not exactly the same as the peak 7-star generals. Even if the strength of an ordinary 7-star peak God General is more than doubled, it is still a 7-star peak, and it is completely incomparable with the 8-star God General. The 3 gods in front of the Wusheng gods are all 8-star gods, and the first one is the top one, Chenjing God. The second God General is Zhanwang God General. It is worth mentioning that he has always been second on the God General list and is very stable. The third God General is the Archery God General, a God General who mainly focuses on archery. This is a relatively young God General, and his strength has been improving rapidly. Among so many God Generals, talent second only to the Cloud Purple Goddess. And this time, he didn't disappoint, and in one fell swoop he was upgraded to the combat power of the 8-star early stage God General, and he still had potential to tap. Goddess Yunzi took a look at the list of gods and saw that Yi Tian was ahead of her and surpassed her. She was a little surprised and inconceivable. She knows that her improvement in the ancestral monument space has been greatly improved, and it can even be described as reborn, but even so, she was surpassed by Yi Tian. She remembered that before entering the ancestral monument space, she was ranked 32nd on the God General list, while Yi Tian was ranked 94th. Today, she is ranked 20th and Yi Tian is ranked 19th. What a terrible ascension this is. Being able to become a 7-star general has no waste. They are all geniuses, and after entering the 7-star general, every step of improvement is extremely difficult, but Yi Tian has improved so much, it is simply unreasonable. Wanfa Daozi is worthy of being accepted by Daozu as a direct disciple without detachment. His talent is indeed powerful. Goddess Yunzi praised. Goddess Yunzi has praised me badly. The momentary transcendence is nothing. With the talent of Goddess Yunzi, she might surpass me again soon. Yi Tian said with a smile. Really? Cloud Purple Goddess smiled. You can guess from the laughter that she is still very confident in herself and doesn't feel that Yi Tian really surpassed herself. Then, a famous god will leave here. And Yi Tian also returned to Zushan Temple. Just after returning to Zushan Temple, a large number of god-level disciples looked at Yi Tian with adoring eyes. In their opinion, Yi Tian's strength improved too fast. How long has it been? Yi Tian has reached the top 20 on the list of gods. If Yi Tian was given more time, wouldn't he be able to become number 1 on the list of gods? Ha ha ha, congratulations to Wanfa Daozi for becoming the 19th place on the list of gods, greatly increasing the prestige of our Zushan Temple. Pengyu Tianjin appeared and congratulated him. Brother Pengyu, you're welcome. Yi Tian still called Pengyu Tianjin by the name of his senior brother. Pengyu Tianjin quickly said that he did not dare, but Yi Tian did not change it. After all, he is a god, and Pengyu Tianjin is the real Tianjin, and he is extremely powerful among the Tianjin. He dare not really put his status above Pengyu Tianjin. The Hall of Void Heaven, the Hall. Yi Tian communicated with Pengyu Tianjin and several other Tianjins. Suddenly, Yi Tian asked, several senior brothers, do you know how to obtain the inheritance of Chaos Divine Ability? Chaos Supernatural Power. Pengyu Tianjin was surprised and said, Daozi, we have a lot of chaotic supernatural powers in our Zushan lineage, but this is not the virtual world. If you want to obtain the inheritance of chaotic supernatural powers, it will be a little troublesome. And it is not recommended for Daozi to study chaotic supernatural powers. The cultivation of chaotic supernatural powers is too difficult, and Daozi should have obtained 1 or 2 chaotic supernatural powers from his master. There is no need to learn other chaotic supernatural powers, so as not to waste time. Heijia Tianjin also opened his mouth and said, Daozi, with your talent, you can easily be promoted to the 8-star God General, and even hope that the 9-star God General, if you study the chaotic supernatural powers, to find the treasure that enhances talent and integrates talent, it will not be a long time. It must be able to meet the conditions for cultivating chaotic supernatural powers, and a long time will be wasted in vain. Under the master's door, there was a Taoist who was obsessed with chaotic supernatural powers in a long time, but his final achievements were not as good as the top formal disciples. Daozi can't waste time on chaotic supernatural powers. Seeing several heavenly monarchs dissuade him, Yi Tian smiled and said, Brothers, everyone has their own path, and my path has been determined, and the master also agrees with me to study and cultivate the supernatural powers of chaos, but I can't take the initiative. Contact Shizen, and everything needs to be done by yourself, so you can only rely on yourself to find the chaotic supernatural power. Yi Tian said this, and the few heavenly monarchs naturally no longer discouraged them. Pengyu Tianjin said, Daozi, I have a chaotic supernatural power inheritance on me, but I don't have the corresponding innate source. But the value of the chaotic supernatural power inheritance is very high. If Daozi wants it, he must take out a certain amount of it. Value. The other heavenly sovereigns shook their heads, indicating that they had no chaotic supernatural powers. After all, they know that they can't master the chaotic supernatural powers, so naturally there is no need to collect the chaotic supernatural powers, and the chaotic supernatural power inheritance of the Zushan lineage cannot be taught in 5.8, which means that it is not available. Senior brother Pengyu, what is the chaotic supernatural power in your hand? Yi Tian asked. One of the 3,000 chaotic supernatural powers, the 3,000 thunderous supernatural powers ranked 1029th, is a movement supernatural power, suitable for combat but not suitable for long-term travel. Pengyu Tianjin rode. Yi Tian was overjoyed when he heard it. This was indeed the chaos divine ability he wanted. After talking with Pengyu Tianjin, I learned that this 3,000 thunder-moving supernatural powers contain the avenue of thunder and the avenue of speed, and thunder is one of the avenues of 12 attributes. Although Yi Tian wants to condense the endless avenues, he still uses the 12 attribute avenues as the basis, and then slowly condenses the prototypes of other avenues. The prototype of the Thunder Avenue is fully qualified as the prototype of the Third Avenue. The only problem now is how to trade this chaotic supernatural power from Pengyu Tianjin. Chapter 871 The Great God Arithmetic. Senior brother Pengyu, I don't know how you can trade me the chaotic supernatural power of 3,000 Lidong. Yi Tian asked. Pengyu Tianjin said, Daozi, ordinary treasures are of no use to me. Daozi is only at the level of a god, and he probably doesn't have any treasures that are useful to me. If I use a bunch of things that I don't use in exchange for the inheritance of chaotic magical powers, then I don't want it. The inheritance of chaotic supernatural powers is difficult to replicate. After all, it is necessary to practice chaotic supernatural powers, and to reach the master level or above, plus special materials can be inherited. This alone is enough to prove the value of chaotic supernatural powers. Moreover, chaos magical powers are only allowed to be passed down a few times at most. Although the chaotic magical power inheritance in my hand can only be passed on once, if it is traded to those who need it, it is enough to exchange for a large amount of resources. Therefore, Daozi wants to trade 3 of my hand. Thousands of thunder and chaotic supernatural powers can only be used with virtual sky points. 1. Virtual sky points. Yi Tian wondered. Pengyu Tianjin explained. Zushan points are a kind of points owned by the 29 sons of the Zushan lineage, which can be used to exchange resources. Daozi is a direct handed down of Daozu, and you can have 10,000 points when you get started, but Daozi doesn't have it yet. Entering the virtual world of the virtual world, so I have no points in my hand. But I have already received the news that when the next batch of gods and emperors enter the universe, the large troops of the virtual world will also come in. At that time, the virtual sky point system will also be opened in the big universe, and the Daozi will also have points. 3,000 thunderbolts, this chaotic supernatural power, I want to sell 3,000 points. 3,000. Although Yi Tian doesn't know the value of this, but he is a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, Pengyu Tianjin should not dare to fool him, otherwise, if he reveals his secrets in the future, it will be equal to offending him. Therefore, Yi Tian agreed. Okay, then 3,000 points, but I don't have points now, we can only sign an agreement, how? Yi Tian asked. It is good. Pengyu Tianjin nodded. In fact, he really didn't earn more Yi Tian points. After all, at the level of 3,000 thunderous supernatural powers, it was absolutely worth 3,500 points. He sold 3,000 points to be considered very cheap. But the key problem is that no one is willing to spend so many virtual days to buy 3,000 thunderbolts. Because chaotic supernatural powers are difficult to train, and the cultivation conditions of 3,000 thunderbolts are also very harsh, ordinary Tianjin will not waste points to buy 3,000 thunderbolts, and Tianjin who can really afford them will not care about 3,000 thunderbolts. After all, they will buy chaos supernatural powers that are more suitable for you. In the virtual world, there are a lot of chaotic magical powers. As long as you have points, you can buy chaotic magical powers. Because of this, the inheritance of the 3,000 Thunder Chaos Divine ability in his hands has never been sold. Now that Yi Tian wants to buy it, he is naturally happy. Immediately, Pengyu Tianjin signed an agreement with Yi Tian. Pengyu Tianjin is not afraid of Yi Tian defaulting on his debts, not to mention that he is bound by a contract, even if there is no contract, as the identity of the Taoist ancestor, he really doesn't care about the mere 3,000 virtual sky points in the future. After signing the agreement, Yi Tian also obtained 3,000 thunderbolts. With the chaotic supernatural power in hand, Yi Tian needs to collect the innate source of thunder, and it must be high-level innate source of thunder, low-level innate source is useless. Some top supernatural powers may be able to use low-level innate origins, but chaotic supernatural powers are far beyond supernatural powers, and without high-level innate origins, chaotic supernatural powers cannot be practiced at all. It's a bit difficult to collect the innate origin of the advanced thunder system. Yi Tian asked many people in the Zushan temple, and none of them had such high-level thunder-level innate source items. Moreover, the value of the innate source of the high-level thunder system is not cheap, perhaps not as good as the inheritance of the chaotic supernatural power, but it is not much worse. If Yi Tian wants to walk the endless path and condense countless prototypes of the avenue, he has to collect a lot of chaotic supernatural powers, and the price he pays is absolutely beyond the imagination of others. In the future, we still have to rely on the Zushan lineage, but it will take a long time for the next batch of people to enter the big universe. During this time, I can only collect them slowly by myself. Yi Tian thought to himself. In the next few thousand years, Yi Tian still did not collect the innate source of the high-level thunder system, but he collected a great supernatural power, and he was one of the 3,000 supernatural powers in arithmetic, ranking among the 3,000 great powers. Divine Ability 100th. The arithmetic ranking of the great god is very terrifying, because it can deduce fate, deduce cultivation techniques, and deduce good and bad luck. But in the end, it was ranked 100th in the great supernatural powers. The reason why it was ranked last in the top 100 was because it was almost difficult to train. If it were not that the inheritance of the supernatural powers was simpler, it would be better than the chaotic supernatural powers, otherwise there would be no one at all to be able to forge this magical inheritance. It is said that from ancient times to the present, no one has been able to cultivate it to the realm of Dachang, and in this era, no one has been able to cultivate it. Because if you want to practice the arithmetic of the great gods, you need the talent of divine arithmetic after the fusion of the two god-level talents of fate talent and deduction talent. This step hinders others. It is rumored that in the past, there were still treasures in the chaos that could combine destiny talent and deduction talent into divine arithmetic talent, but now that kind of treasure is gone and cannot be born again. In addition to the divine arithmetic talent and the great divine arithmetic inheritance, two kinds of innate origins are needed. One is the destiny stone, and the other is the chaos mysterious tortoise shell 217. Destiny stones are not uncommon, they are not difficult to collect, only the chaotic black tortoise shell is a bit difficult to handle, because the chaotic black tortoise is a unique tortoise shell of the chaotic black tortoise, and the chaotic black turtle is a chaotic life, and it is a high-level chaotic life. It can become a peak powerhouse of destiny, and some chaotic tortoises with high talent can even become true ancestors. If it weren't for the fact that the chaotic mysterious turtle family had no Taoist ancestors, no one would dare to collect the chaotic mysterious turtle armor. But even so, the chaotic mysterious turtle family has a bunch of true ancestors, and they are good at deduction, although they are far inferior to the arithmetic of the great gods, but no one dares to provoke the chaotic mysterious turtle family. Yi Tian collected the arithmetic of the great god, the stone of destiny, and even used the copy talent to combine the destiny talent and the deduction talent into the divine calculation talent. It can be said that Yi Tian only needs to collect the chaotic mysterious tortoise shells, and then he can officially practice that great god arithmetic. To a certain extent, the arithmetic of the great gods is even more powerful than the supernatural powers of chaos, so Yi Tian is naturally looking forward to it. It's a pity that he collected it for a long time and couldn't find the chaotic black tortoise shell. This day, Yi Tian was cultivating when an invitation was sent to him. Goddess Yunzi invited me to be a guest. Yi Tian was very surprised. But after reading the content of the invitation, he immediately went to the banquet. Chapter 872 Trading with the Goddess Yunzi. God of War Tower Territory. In front of a white palace, a group of women are guarding. Here is the residence of the goddess Yunzi, Yunzi Palace. As a 7-star goddess, Yunzi goddess is also a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, occupying a large area in the big universe, and this place is named Yunziu. The environment of the big universe is different from that of the ordinary universe. The big universe is mostly continental, and there are countless starry sky continents in the void, and the largest starry sky continent is the Ancestor Monument continent where the ancestral monument is located, many times the size of the universe. The Zushan temple is located on the Zushan continent, which is far away from the Yunzi territory. But for the gods, this distance is nothing. Yi Tian's speed was so fast that he came to the purple cloud domain not long after. In front of the Yunzi palace, Yi Tian came here, quickly entered the Yunzi palace, and met the goddess Yunzi. I have seen the goddess Yunzi. Yi Tian said. Wanfa Daozi is very polite, please take a seat. Goddess Yunzi said, and immediately made all the other maids retreat, and even the guardian of the road, Tianjin, left. At this time, there are only Yi Tian and Yunzi goddess here. Goddess Yunzi, do you really have the primal chaos mysterious tortoise shell? Yi Tian asked urgently. Yes, goddess Yunzi said with a smile. Wanfa Daozi has been collecting the destiny stone and the chaos mysterious tortoise shell over the years, and these two treasures should be the necessary innate origins to assist the cultivation of the great god's arithmetic. In the chaos, the great god arithmetic is listed as one of the great supernatural powers that can hardly be practiced, and it has almost been abandoned. If the power of the great god arithmetic is really terrible, otherwise it would have fallen out of the top 100. There must be a great god arithmetic in the hands of Wanfa Daozi, but he didn't collect the treasure that combines destiny talent and deduction talent. Could it be that he already has the talent of divine calculation? Goddess Yunzi, what does this mean? Do you want to find out my secret? Yi Tian's tone was a little bad. Goddess Yunzi said quickly. Don't worry, Daozi Wanfa, I just want to know that you can master the arithmetic of the great god. If you are sure to practice the arithmetic of the great god, and do me a favor, the chaotic black turtle armor will be handed over to you, or even given to you. I will also give you some compensation. How? What can I help you first? Yi Tian asked. The goddess Yunzi moved, slightly surprised. Although Yi Tian did not accept that he could practice the arithmetic of the great god, but if he asked what he was busy, he must be sure to practice the arithmetic of the great god, otherwise there was no need to ask. After all, the premise of cooperation is God's arithmetic. I want to enter a forbidden place. Goddess Yunzi said. There are some forbidden places in the universe, some of which are so dangerous that they can even trap the powerful heavenly sovereigns on the heavenly sovereign list. My master told me, there is a forbidden place in the big universe that is suitable for me, but it is impossible for the master to help, and the power of the master cannot extend into the big universe. Therefore, I can only rely on myself. But that forbidden place is very dangerous. It is a natural killing array in the forbidden area. The killing formations there have no rules, the rules there are also different from other places, and the formation Tianjin has no insight into the killing formations there. But if you have the arithmetic of the great God, you can calculate where the danger is and where it is safe. If Wanfa Daozi can really practice the arithmetic of the great God, I hope you can take me to the center of the forbidden area. 1. Okay, I can indeed master the arithmetic of the great God 100%, but a task like yours is bound to be dangerous. Even if I can avoid the killing formation, who knows if there are other dangers in it? The arithmetic of the great God is not omnipotent, and it cannot see through the future. I can only evolve, deduce, and calculate the existing things. If there is an unknown danger in that forbidden area, I may not be able to calculate it. Therefore, I need more compensation, and the chaotic black tortoise shell is not enough. Yi Tian made it clear. Okay, what more do you want? Cloud Purple Goddess said. A chaotic supernatural power of 12 major attributes, as well as the corresponding innate origins, don't need time and space, don't need thunder. 1. Yi Tian thought about it and said, even if you want time and space, I can't afford it. Goddess Yunzi rolled her eyes and nodded immediately. Yes, I do have the inheritance of chaotic supernatural powers, and there is a chaotic supernatural power that has a corresponding counterpart. It's a pity that I don't have the corresponding talent, so I can't cultivate it. This chaotic supernatural power is a gold-type chaotic supernatural power, called the gold-devouring supernatural power. Following the description of the goddess Yunzi, Yi Tian had some understanding of the gold-devouring magical powers. Once you have mastered the gold-devouring magical power, you can devour all kinds of metals, condense it into a set of full-body armor, and even condense it into a weapon. The level of the armor and the weapon is related to your own strength. The god will have the armor and weapons of the chaotic treasure level, and it is the most suitable armor and weapon for him. It is also difficult to get started with the golden devouring magical powers. It needs to devour the gold-devouring talent formed by the fusion of the talent and the gold-type talent, and this talent consumes resources and requires a huge amount of metal. It can be said that the poor god general is not qualified to devour gold magical powers at all. In fact, the goddess Yunzi can also use the god of war tower to get the talent of swallowing gold and the talent of gold, and use the treasure to fuse the two talents into the talent of gold devouring, but the price is higher. But paying such a huge price to cultivate a magical power that she doesn't like much, it's not worth it at all. Moreover, with the place where her Taoist ancestors handed down, with her resources, she can only practice 2 chaos supernatural powers at most, and if she wants to practice other chaos supernatural powers, the god of war tower can't help her, everything can only rely on herself. Therefore, she must choose the most suitable chaotic supernatural power for her. Because of this, the gold-devouring magical power was stranded. If Yi Tian can really help her, then it is not impossible to give Yi Tian the golden power. Good. Yi Tian agreed on the spot, I can help you, but after the completion of the matter, you must give me the gold-devouring magical power and the corresponding innate source. It is good. Goddess Yunzi also agreed. After the two signed an agreement, Yi Tian got the chaos mysterious tortoise shell. However, the goddess Yunzi asked Yi Tian to practice in the Yunzi palace, so she was not afraid that Yi Tian would run away, but that Yi Tian would be delayed by other things. Yi Tian doesn't care, he can cultivate his eyes anywhere. After living in a side hall of Yunzi palace, he can fully practice the arithmetic of the great god. Time flickered, and 1,000 years passed. On this day, Yi Tian finally practiced the arithmetic of the great god. After practicing this great supernatural power, Yi Tian really realized how terrifying the effect of this great god's arithmetic. Under the action of the great god's arithmetic, he can even perfect his martial arts deduction, calculate all his flaws, and correct them. It's terrifying. Once I really improve myself, my strength can still improve a little bit, even if I can't step into the ranks of the 7-star gods, but it's not much worse. And when I practice 1 or 2 chaos supernatural powers, the strength must be able to step into the peak of the 7-star god general. 1. Yi Tian said excitedly. Chapter 873 Forbidden Land, Big Ice World Art. Yi Tian did not inform Goddess Yunzi that he had become a goddess of arithmetic, but continued to practice, preparing to inform Goddess Yunzi only after his strength improved again. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of years have passed. At this moment, Yi Tian has perfected all of his unique skills, and this is the end of the retreat. Afterwards, Yi Tian went to the Goddess Yunzi and informed the other party that he had already practiced the arithmetic of the great god. After the Goddess Yunzi learned about it, she was immediately surprised. Wanfa Daozi has a high talent, and in such a short period of time, he has become a chaotic supernatural power. Even if the general level cannot exert the power of the chaotic supernatural power, it is enough to exert the power of the chaotic supernatural power. A terrifying power. Daozi, if you are ready, let's go. 1. Can. Yi Tian nodded. Afterwards, Yi Tian and the Goddess Yunzi left, but Goddess Yunzi's Dao protector Tianjin followed, protecting the safety of Goddess Yunzi, at least until Goddess Yunzi entered the forbidden area, she would always follow. It didn't take long for Yi Tian and the Goddess Yunzi to arrive at their destination. This is the forbidden place. Goddess Yunzi pointed to a planet ahead and said. Although most of the big universe's starry sky continent, there are still some planets, and these planets are very extraordinary, and they are all huge. The planet in front of him is very large, with a radius of at least 100 billion kilometers, like a huge object standing in the starry sky. The entire planet is a forbidden area, no one at the general level dares to enter, and the level of Tianjin can only make a foray in the periphery, and once it goes deep, it will definitely die. Wanfa Daozi, please use the arithmetic of the great god to deduce it. Will we be dead and dead when we enter this time? Goddess Yunzi said. The arithmetic of the great god is indeed inferior to the real great destiny magical power in calculating fate and danger, but it is much stronger in terms of details. The supernatural power of destiny can only give you a general direction, while the arithmetic of the gods is specific to a certain point, but the arithmetic of the gods has no way to let Yi Tian know whether he can live in the forbidden area this time. However, it is still possible to calculate whether oneself is dead or not. Immediately, Yi Tian began to perform the arithmetic of the great god. In an instant, the rules of the great god's arithmetic appeared on his body, and his eyes showed countless data rules, estimating the safety of this trip. Soon, Yi Tian's calculations were over. Dangerous, but not very dangerous. Leaf CJFI, the way of heaven. Of course, this calculation is that under the circumstances of his entry, if the goddess Yunzi enters alone, it will be 10 deaths and no life. It all depends on Wanfa Daozi. Cloud Purple Goddess said. No problem, Yi Tian said confidently. On the side, the guardian of the goddess Yunzi, Tianjin Zishan said, His Royal Highness, do you want me to follow you in? It is too dangerous for you to enter. Need not, Goddess Yunzi said quickly. You can't go in, this forbidden area is very dangerous, but the stronger the strong person who enters, the more dangerous it is. Once you go in, it is easy to cause unnecessary danger. But he can only be regarded as the embryonic form of the chaotic supernatural power of the great god arithmetic, and his cultivation is not enough, it is difficult to calculate more, I don't want any accidents. Therefore, 2 people go in is the best way. All right, Zishan Tianjin nodded secretly, no longer persuaded. Yi Tian and the goddess Yunzi did not enter this planet immediately, but were looking for the safest entrance to enter. The entire planet is a forbidden area, and the invisible killing formation is too terrifying. If they enter at will, with their 7-star general level strength, I am afraid they will have to suffer from the beginning. Here, Yunzi goddess, we enter from here, 10 seconds later, the killing formation here is the weakest. Yi Tian pointed to a Dao. It is good, goddess Yunzi nodded, no nonsense, and completely obeyed Yi Tian's arrangement. 10 seconds later, Yi Tian and the goddess Yunzi entered the forbidden area from here. Yi Tian has been using the arithmetic of the great god, and almost every step has been calculated. As the 2 continued to penetrate into the forbidden area, various attacks came, but because they took the safest route, these attacks could not threaten Yi Tian and the goddess Yunzi. A little time passed, and the 2 gradually came to the core area of the forbidden area. At this time, the 2 7-star god generals were still not in any danger, and they were not injured at all. At this time, the goddess Yunzi really realized how terrible Yi Tian's god arithmetic was. In fact, before that, she also found some divine generals in the tower of the god of war. Among them, several of them were still walking on the avenue of destiny and deduction, but all of them were still dead in the forbidden area. But now, they have gone deep into the forbidden area, but there is still no danger. She doesn't think that the forbidden area is really safe, but Yi Tian is too powerful, which makes her not encounter any danger. As expected of the great god's arithmetic, countless geniuses in the chaos have not practiced it. Even my master said that he can't help me practice the great god's arithmetic, but Wanfa Daozi has practiced it. Goddess Yunzi was curious, but did not delve into it. Everyone has their own personal encounters. If Yi Tian didn't say it, she naturally couldn't know, and there was no need to know. It's a little dangerous next, Goddess Yunzi, I need to do my best to calculate, you are responsible for protection. Yi Tian said. In fact, he can also activate Ji Yu Yuan's bodyguarding supernatural powers and the Great Immortality Technique. Under the protection here, it is almost impossible to encounter danger, but he will not expose Ji Yu Yuan's bodyguarding supernatural powers. Isn't that stupid? If you can use this opportunity to spy on the strength of the Goddess Yunzi, that would be good. It is good, Goddess Yunzi nodded and agreed. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. A purple flame suddenly appeared, and at this time, Goddess Yunzi cast a certain ice-type supernatural power, covering her and Yi Tian. The 288th ranked ice crystal supernatural power is the ice defense supernatural power. Yi Tian said in his heart. With the magical power of ice crystals, the two passed through the purple flame area without injury. Soon, the two entered a desert again, and the endless gravel attacked. Each grain of gravel defended a world, and the attack power was extremely terrifying, even enough to pose a threat to the average 7-star god general. So much gravel is enough to wipe out the average 7-star late-stage god general. Seeing this scene, the goddess Yunzi said, Wanfa Daozi, is your great god arithmetic wrong? How can we enter such an area? That's right, this is the safest route nearby. If you don't go in, you have to go back. Besides, it's not difficult to cross this area with your strength. Yi Tian said. At this time, the goddess Yunzi did not dare to neglect, and hurriedly used a more powerful defensive supernatural power. Great Ice World Art. Boom. A huge ice world blocked those gravels and took Yi Tian and her to quickly pass through this area. Yi Tian knows the Great Ice World Art. It is impressively one of the top 100 great magical powers among the 3,000 great magical powers, and ranks 41st among the great magical powers. Chapter 874 Haiyao Gold Mine. With the protection of Goddess Yunzi, Yi Tian doesn't need to worry about other things, but he doesn't focus on the arithmetic of the great god, and he still pays some attention to the surroundings. If Yunzi goddess is not reliable, he can protect himself in time. The heart of guarding against others is indispensable, he will not be foolish enough to trust the goddess Yunzi completely. After passing through some areas, Yi Tian and the goddess Yunzi finally came to the core area of the forbidden area. This is a mountain full of invisible murderous intent. Goddess Yunzi, your destination is this mountain, right? Yi Tian asked. Yes. Cloud Purple Goddess nodded. Goddess Yunzi, you are almost here, you should tell me why you are here. Yi Tian asked curiously. Goddess Yunzi hesitated for a while, but she still said it, and said, there is a fire without ice here, I have cultivated a special physique, and now I am only one step away from it, and fire without ice is a must, only it is a pity that there is almost no ice-free fire in the chaos, only this big universe has it. Because of this, I entered the big universe in the first batch. I see, Yi Tian whispered. Wanfa Daozi, the ice-free fire is on it, I can promise that, except for the ice-free fire, all other opportunities are yours. Cloud Purple Goddess assured. Really? Yi Tian's expression changed and said. He is very poor now. Compared with ordinary gods, he is indeed relatively rich, but compared with Tianjin, he is poor, and even compared with gods like Yunzi Goddess, he is very poor. This forbidden place is very extraordinary, even if the ice-free fire is the most precious, but apart from the ice-free fire, there should be a lot of other treasures, enough to make his net worth skyrocket. Of course it's true, Goddess Yunzi said with a smile. She only needs iceless fire. Once she has iceless fire, her strength will skyrocket in a short period of time. As for other treasures, she doesn't take it seriously. With her status, it is not difficult to want treasures. Not to mention her Taoist patriarch, her parents are also true patriarchs, and their status is so high. Therefore, her vision is very high, except for the fire without ice, she does not think there is anything precious here. Moreover, the ice-free fire is not precious, it is just rare, it is of great use to her, but it is of no use to others. Daozi Wanfa, where should we go in? Cloud Purple Goddess asked. Wait for me to figure it out. Yi Tian said. Soon, Yi Tian figured out the entrance with God's arithmetic. 3 years later, this is the only way to enter from this place, otherwise you will definitely die. Yi Tian said. He didn't lie to Goddess Yunzi, but to tell the truth, the killing array here is too terrible. Yi Tian believes that he can't break in, and it is useless to increase his strength by 100 times and 1,000 times, and he can't compete with the killing array here. Force. Therefore, it is necessary to wait for 3 years to quickly shuttle into the interior of the mountain from the only vital entrance. It is good, Goddess Yunzi agreed. It's only 3 years, she can afford it. In the blink of an eye, 3 years have passed. Swish. Yi Tian took Yunzi Goddess to shuttle through a weak spot in the killing formation in an instant, but even so, Yi Tian and Yunzi Goddess were seriously injured. Goddess Yunzi's great ice boundary art was smashed to pieces by the attack of the killing array, and other defensive means were also penetrated one by one. And although Yi Tian did not expose Ji Yuan's divine power and time and space transfer technique, but he also used many methods one by one, but he quickly recovered his injuries with the help of the great immortality technique. Inside the mountain, this place is like a world, and there is no danger. Yi Tian and Yunzi Goddess stayed here to recover from their injuries, and soon after, the two recovered completely. Wanfa Daozi, is there no danger here? Cloud Purple Goddess asked. Gone, Yi Tian said. He has already deduced with the arithmetic of the great god, and there is absolutely no danger here. Wow, Goddess Yunzi moved and flew in a certain direction. She had already sensed the breath of ice-free fire. Yi Tian was also somewhat interested in the iceless fire, so he went over to take a look. In a blink of an eye, the two came to the ice-free fire. It turns out that this is the fire without ice. Yi Tian looked at a flame above a lake in front of him, secretly surprised. The important thing is that below the flame is a piece of ice. Above the ice, the main root is empty. This vision is rare. Goddess Yunzi flew over and took out a treasure lotus to collect this ice-free fire. However, a force burst out, and half of Yunzi Goddess's body was frozen. But in the end, the Goddess Yunzi still managed to collect the ice-free fire. Success! Goddess Yunzi was very excited, which meant that she could master that special physique, and her strength would skyrocket. Maybe it won't be long before he is expected to be ranked among the 8-star generals. Seeing that Goddess Yunzi successfully collected the iceless fire, Yi Tian said, Goddess Yunzi, I will go around to see if there are any treasures. For flowers. Okay, Goddess Yunzi nodded, but after thinking about it, she said, I'll go with you. Here, I can't practice retreat. Can. Yi Tian agreed and brought the Goddess Yunzi with him. In the following days, Yi Tian collected resources here. This place is worthy of being the center of the forbidden area, and the resources are very rich, and some resources are even enough to make Tianjin feel the heart. In just half a year, Yi Tian's harvest has at least 1,000 Dao coins. However, Yi Tian's biggest gain is not these ordinary resources. What is this? Yi Tian came to a valley, and inside the valley there was a rock with a black light on it. After Yi Tian smashed the rock, he saw a kind of black metal. Its texture was very hard. Even if Yi Tian's attack landed on it, it only left a little imprint. Obsidian. Goddess Yunzi was shocked when she saw this metal, and even moved. Goddess Yunzi, is this metal obsidian? Yi Tian asked. Yes. The Goddess Yunzi introduced. Obsidian gold is a very precious metal in chaos, and even many chaotic treasures use obsidian gold. If there is enough obsidian gold, it can even be used. Forge a halfway weapon. What? This thing can forge a half-Dao weapon? Yi Tian was shocked. He doesn't know about obsidian gold, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know about half-Dao artifacts. In the chaos, the half-Dao weapon is a weapon that surpasses the treasure of chaos. The Dao weapon is the supreme weapon that can be refined and used by the Taoist ancestors. There isn't even a single halfway weapon. One can imagine how high the value of these obsidian gold is. Goddess Yunzi, you said that except for the fire without ice, any harvest here belongs to me, right? Yi Tian said with a smile. Yes, Yunzi Goddess looked remorseful. Knowing that there are obsidian gold veins here, how could she agree to such conditions? Master, why didn't you tell me that there is obsidian here? Cloud Purple Goddess secretly said. Her master can calculate that there is no ice and fire here, and he should also calculate that there is obsidian gold here. But thinking about it carefully, obsidian gold is just garbage in her master's eyes, and naturally she won't take the initiative to tell her. Loss. Cloud Purple Goddess helplessly thought about it. Chapter 875 Strength Skyrockets. Goddess Yunzi sighed, but she did not compete with Yi Tian for this obsidian gold ore. After all, she had already promised Yi Tian, so it was difficult to go back on it. Besides, she had to rely on Yi Tian to leave here, even if it was a precious treasure, she couldn't do it. Otherwise, if Yi Tian left her here, she would be trapped for a long time. Boom. Yi Tian kept bombarding here, and soon revealed a complete ore vein. Obsidian gold is very heavy, and it is difficult to measure it by weight, and this obsidian gold vein is about a few thousand cubic meters in size if calculated as a whole. With so much obsidian gold, its value is unimaginable. At least equivalent to the value of 4 or 5 half-Dao devices. The goddess Yunzi was extremely distressed and thought. Her entire net worth is far from that of this obsidian gold mine. Goddess Yunzi, can the 217 supernatural power be able to refine obsidian gold? Yi Tian asked. Yes, Yunzi goddess nodded. However, even if you can really practice gold-devouring magical powers, you don't need to devour too much obsidian. When you can't use obsidian to improve gold-devouring magical powers, don't do it. Devour it again, or it will be wasted. Understood. Yi Tian nodded. Immediately, he directly charged the obsidian gold into the small universe within his body. For this obsidian gold ore vein, he has already made plans. A small part is used to cultivate the gold-devouring magical power, a part is used for trading, in exchange for the chaotic magical power, and the last part is reserved for refining the half-Dao weapon later. This obsidian gold lode is undoubtedly the most precious thing here. How Yi Tian and the goddess Yunzi searched, they didn't find anything good. It's time to leave, Yi Tian said. Goddess Yunzi also wanted to leave for a long time. After hearing what Yi Tian said, she naturally agreed immediately. With the help of Yi Tian's great god arithmetic, Yi Tian took Yunzi goddess for a while and finally left this forbidden place and came to the outside world. Your Highness, you are finally out, Zishan Tianjin said excitedly. Over the years, she has been worried about the safety of Goddess Yunzi. If Goddess Yunzi is in a situation in the forbidden area, she will never be able to make up for her sins. Fortunately, the Goddess Yunzi came out safely. Go back, Goddess Yunzi said excitedly. Seeing this, Tianjin Zishan understood that Goddess Yunzi must have obtained the ice-free fire, and immediately returned with Goddess Yunzi. The most important thing at the moment is to let the Goddess Yunzi go back to retreat and practice. Perhaps by the time the Goddess Yunzi came out, she was already an 8-star general. And Yi Tian also returned to Zushan Temple and started a new round of retreat. Before she came out, Goddess Yunzi had already given him the gold-devouring magical power and the corresponding innate source, so after he returned, he immediately began to practice the gold-devouring magical power. After 2,000 years, Yi Tian finally practiced the gold-devouring supernatural powers, and it was considered that he had initially obtained the prototype of the gold-devouring supernatural powers. If this chaotic supernatural power is refining metal, it means that it has no power at all. So, Yi Tian started to devour all kinds of metals. He has collected quite a lot of metals. Last time, he even got a lot of precious ores in the Great Secret Realm. This time, he swallowed and refined them all. At the same time, he also started refining obsidian. However, obsidian gold is very strong, and even with the power of chaos divine ability, it will take a long time to devour a little obsidian gold. With the passage of time, Yi Tian's gold-devouring magical power became more and more powerful, but due to the level of the gold-devouring magical power, it was the prototype, so the final armor and weapon level were not too high. The level of the super-quality Chaos Spirit Treasure is second only to the Chaos Supreme Treasure, and its power is not bad. Yi Tian is very satisfied. At the very least, he still doesn't have a super-grade Chaos Spirit Treasure, and the Ancient Demon Tower is stronger than the super-grade Chaos Spirit Treasure, but he still hasn't been able to pass through the Ancient Demon Tower completely, and has only reached the 11th floor. Only by passing through the 13th floor of the Ancient Magic Tower can the Ancient Magic Tower be refined, and it is said that the 8-star god generals who have just broken through also failed to pass through the Ancient Magic Tower, because the physical body is not strong enough, and the level of combat skills is also average, even not as good as Yi Tian. The gold-devouring supernatural power can be attacked, defended or trapped, which is equivalent to giving Yi Tian all kinds of supernatural powers, but unfortunately there are limitations, otherwise this chaotic supernatural power is too awesome. It's time to condense the prototype of the Golden Avenue. Yi Tian decided. It took nearly 10,000 years for Yi Tian to condense the prototype of the Golden Dao, and it took 10,000 years to successfully engrave a Dao pattern on the virtual body, allowing the virtual body to transform once again. This is still supported by the arithmetic deduction of the Great God, so that he can cultivate so fast, otherwise he wants to condense the prototype of the Dao and inscribe the Dao pattern, and it is not enough without 100,000 years. The last time he was able to condense the space-time avenue and the two Tao patterns one after another in 10,000 years was with the help of the ancestral monument space, but now there is no ancestral monument space to assist, and the speed is incomparably fast. The 7-star peak God General. Yi Tian tested his strength and was immediately overjoyed. It's a pity that he can't condense the 3 avenues of the Defense Avenue, the Swallowing Avenue, and the Fleshly Body Avenue, otherwise it will affect the Fundamental Avenue, otherwise his strength will definitely be able to step into the 8-star God General. It's time to find someone to trade the high-level lightning source items. Yi Tian muttered. Next, in the name of Daozi of Zushan Temple, he proposed a deal to other forces, and traded high-level lightning sources with obsidian gold. Obsidian gold is undoubtedly a universal treasure for some heavenly monarchs, but the high-level lightning source is not necessarily important. So soon, Yi Tian got a transaction message. Heavenly Lord. The Tianjin who traded with Yi Tian is not a Tianjin list Tianjin, but he is not weak. He is a late Tianjin cultivation base, and his strength far exceeds that of the Tianjin who has just broken through. On a starry sky continent not far from Zushan Temple, Yi Tian traded with Haisha Tianjin. 15.8 Fa Daozi, do you really have obsidian on you? Haisha Tianjin asked. Yes, how about a piece of high-level lightning source material for 1 cube of obsidian gold? Yi Tian asked. Can, the Dark Lord agreed. In one hand, obsidian gold, and in the other hand, the high-level lightning origin item. Soon, the two sides completed the transaction and left. From beginning to end, neither of them asked anything else. When the high-level lightning source was in hand, Yi Tian immediately went back to retreat. 10,000 years later, Yi Tian practiced the 3,000 thunder-moving chaotic supernatural powers, and it took tens of thousands of years to successfully inscribe the 4th Tao pattern, the Thunder Tao pattern on the body of the virtual heaven. It's a pity that Yi Tian's strength did not reach the 8-star God General, but it was more than twice as strong as in the past. Chapter 876 Number 1 on the list of gods in a few minutes. God will be 4th on the list. The goddess Yunzi was shocked when she saw Yi Tian's ranking on the list of gods. Originally, the 4th on the list of gods belonged to lifeless gods, and he was also the 1st on the list of gods. At that time, Yi Tian was not even qualified to enter the list of gods. But now, Yi Tian surpassed the lifeless God General and became the first person under the 8-star God General. Wanfa Daozi's strength increased too fast. Goddess Yunzi was surprised. She believes that her strength has improved very quickly, and she has obtained the fire without ice. During this period of time, she has improved faster and faster, and she has also reached the combat power of the 7-star peak God General. If she was given another 100,000 years, she would be able to completely cultivate that physique to the realm of Dachang, and coupled with the breakthrough in chaos body refinement, her strength would definitely be able to become an 8-star general. Wanfa Daozi should have mastered the chaotic supernatural power, and there is a breakthrough in the chaotic body refining technique, but there is a big gap between the 7-star peak God General and the 8-star God General, and Wanfa Daozi cannot improve so quickly. If you have the opportunity to surpass him, continue to retreat, strive to surpass him, and become an 8-star general. Cloud Purple Goddess secretly said. 29. Lack of chaotic supernatural powers. Yi Tian was very sad. The cultivation of Xuanshuju cannot be rushed, it takes a long time to break through. Many divine generals who have reached his level have no way to improve. Even if they want to improve a little, it will take millions or even tens of millions of years, hundreds of millions of years, years of years. Yi Tian's talent is very high, and there is no shortage of resources, but if he wants to rely on the Xuanshu art to raise his strength to the 8-star God General, it is estimated that it will take hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. He can't wait for so long. If he has enough chaotic supernatural powers for him to practice, he can definitely rush into the 8-star God General within tens of thousands of years. Must collect chaos supernatural powers again. Yi Tian decided. Immediately, he leaked the news that he had a lot of obsidian gold on his body, and proposed to exchange obsidian gold for chaotic supernatural powers and transactions corresponding to the innate source. For a time, countless powerhouses in the great universe noticed Yi Tian. Many people are greedy and curious about how much obsidian gold Yi Tian has obtained, but few really dare to snatch it. Without him, just because Yi Tian's identity is not ordinary, it is a direct inheritance from Taoist ancestors. Who dares to snatch a Taoist ancestor, unless there are some special worlds that even the Taoist can't spy on, or the background is very large, and it is also a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors and direct lineage, then they are not afraid of a Taoist ancestor, otherwise they really rob a Taoist ancestor, and also will die. However, nothing is absolute. In the chaos, there are still some people who will take the risk and attack the Taoist ancestors. There is an agreement between the Taoist ancestors, and it will not be easy to take action, so even if the Taoist ancestor dies, the Taoist can't take action, otherwise, the Zushin Taozu will not fall so many Taoist ancestors. But if you dare to attack Taozu personally, you can just wait for the revenge of the true monarch and true ancestor who are behind it. Although the value of Yi Tian's obsidian gold is high, it is not high enough to make some Tianjin take risks. After all, obsidian gold cannot make them the true ancestor, so there is no need to work hard. If Yi Tian has the chance to become a Taoist ancestor, I am afraid they will do whatever it takes. After Yi Tian announced the news that he would exchange the obsidian gold for the chaotic supernatural powers, some heavenly monarchs contacted Yi Tian secretly one after another, wanting to exchange the obsidian gold of Yi Tian. However, most of the heavenly sovereigns possessed not too advanced chaotic supernatural powers, and some were not even among the 3,000 chaotic supernatural powers, but Yi Tian didn't care about the strength of the chaotic supernatural powers, he just used the chaotic supernatural powers to condense the prototype of the Great Tao. Over the 1,000 years, Yi Tian paid a lot of obsidian gold, and collected a total of 13 chaotic magical powers, but unfortunately only 7 belong to the 12 major chaotic magical powers. These 7 gates were collected deliberately by Yi Tian, and did not overlap with other chaotic supernatural powers. Therefore Yi Tian can cultivate these 7 chaotic supernatural powers. In addition, Yi Tian also spent a lot of obsidian gold to collect the corresponding high-level innate source items, which can be practiced immediately. Originally, Yi Tian wanted to continue collecting, but he didn't wait for Tianjin to visit for a while, so he didn't wait any longer. He estimates that there are so many chaotic supernatural powers of these heavenly monarchs in the universe, and it is difficult to continue to collect them. So, Yi Tian began to retreat and cultivate these 7 chaotic supernatural powers. 1,000 years, 20,000 years, 30,000 years. Before you know it, 80,000 years have passed. At this time, Yi Tian had already practiced all the 7 chaotic supernatural powers, and had condensed the prototypes of 8 great avenues, just because one of the chaotic supernatural powers was the Wing of Ice and Fire, which contained the Avenue of Fire and the Avenue of Ice, which happened to be 2 gates. Property Avenue. However, Yi Tian's strength is still at the peak of the 7 stars, so his strength has not reached a qualitative change. Although there are a few more prototypes of chaos supernatural powers, the quantity does not represent the quality, and he cannot be allowed to enter the 8-star God General. Because he has not inscribed the Tao pattern on the virtual heaven body. At this moment, Yi Tian was very excited because he had already collected all the prototypes of the 12 attribute avenues. In the source beads, the prototype of the avenue has been transformed into an avenue of 1,000 meters long and 1,200 meters wide, and its coercion far exceeds the prototype of other people's avenues. When the prototypes of these 12 attribute avenues merged into one, an incomparably supreme chaotic avenue power manifested, representing the power of this avenue. At this moment, Yi Tian's foundation has been completed, and it is already the supreme foundation. From then on, Yi Tian can continue to condense the prototypes of other avenues and merge with this supreme foundation, which will only make the Chaos Tao progress toward the endless avenues, making his Tao stronger and stronger. It's time to inscribe the Tao pattern. According to my estimation, if I engrave more than 2 Tao patterns, my virtual heaven body will transform, and my strength will also increase to the level of an 8-star God General. Yi Tian estimated, 217. So, Yi Tian began to inscribe the Tao pattern. In the first 10,000 years, Yi Tian engraved his 5th Tao pattern, the Ice pattern. In the second 10,000 years, Yi Tian engraved his 6th Tao pattern, the Fire pattern. But when the 6th Tao pattern was inscribed, the power of the virtual body skyrocketed, and the physical body was so strong that it was extremely terrifying, and Yi Tian's combat power also completed a breakthrough, breaking the shackles of the 7-star to 8-star generals, and successfully became the 8-star general. And a few minutes before Yi Tian became the 8-star general, there was an excited laughter from Yunzi Palace. Yunzi, surpassed 10,000 suns, became a star god general, and surpassed it in one fell swoop. Star God General, ranked first on the list of God Generals. Goddess Yunzi is very happy to be the first on the list of gods in the universe, even more excited than the first on the list of gods in Chaos God of War. After all, this is a huge honor. If her master knew about it, I'm afraid she would praise her too. However, before she could be excited for a few minutes, another message came from a servant of the gods guarding the ancestral monument. What? Wantha Daozi also broke through, stepped into the 8-star God General, and surpassed me to become the number 1 in the new God General list. Goddess Yunzi's face was a little unsightly. She was killed by Yi Tian before she stayed at the top of the list of gods for a few minutes. Yi Tian, is this intentional? Chapter 877, 8-star midterm God General. It couldn't have been intentional. Goddess Yunzi gave a wry smile, knowing how idiot she was thinking just now. How could she break the shackles in a few minutes and impact the battle power of the 8-star God General? Even if Yi Tian sent people to look at the ancestral monument all the time and learned that she had been promoted to the 8-star God General a few minutes ago, there was no way he could immediately choose to be promoted to the 8-star God General and deliberately suppressed her. This is not realistic at all. It can only be said that it is too coincidental. She and Yi Tian broke through almost at the same time, and Yi Tian surpassed her just after breaking through the 8-star General, which proves that the ancestral tablet thinks that Yi Tian is stronger than her. The judging standard of the ancestral monument is not completely correct, but to a certain extent, Yi Tian is stronger than her, and her background is stronger than her. The strength improvement brought by the fire without ice has been fully excavated. It will take a long time for me to improve my strength. Unless there are amazing opportunities in the big universe, or I want to increase my strength to the mid-8-star, it is estimated that it will take a long time. Tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of years. Goddess Yunzi murmured. This is still because of her high talent. If she were another 8-star God General, it is estimated that after practicing for hundreds of billions of years, she would still be an 8-star early God General. For example, the 8-star God Generals at the top of the God General list probably have no way to improve their strength, and they are probably preparing to advance to the Destiny realm. Goddess Yunzi was struggling with the number 1 ranking on the list of gods, but Yi Tian didn't pay attention to the number 1 ranking on the list of gods at all. He is completely immersed in cultivation. After all, his strength is in a stage of rapid improvement. A Tao pattern was engraved on the virtual heaven body by Yi Tian, and the virtual heaven body became stronger and stronger. Another 10,000 years have passed, and the 7th Tao pattern, the wood Tao pattern, has been engraved into the virtual heaven body, and the strength will rise again. With the passage of time, the 8th Tao pattern, the water's Tao pattern, is inscribed into the virtual heaven body. The 9th Tao pattern, the Earth's Tao pattern, is inscribed into the virtual celestial body. The 10th Tao pattern, Wind's road pattern, inscribed into the virtual heaven body. The 11th Tao pattern, the light of the road pattern, is inscribed into the virtual heaven body. Finally, Yi Tian inscribed the 12th Tao pattern into the virtual heaven body. Although it took Yi Tian 80,000 years to inscribe the 8 Tao patterns in the back into the virtual heaven body, the strength has improved too much. Under the blessing of the 12 Tao lines, the virtual heaven body has definitely reached a state that has never been seen before. At this time, Yi Tian felt that his strength was infinitely close to that of the mid-8-star God General, but he still did not reach it. You can condense the prototypes of other avenues one by one. Yi Tian decided. For example, the defense avenue contained in Ji Yuan's body and divine powers, he has not yet condensed. So, Yi Tian began to condense the prototype of the defense avenue, and after 10,000 years, the defense avenue prototype was successfully condensed. Then, Yi Tian successfully inscribed the defensive Tao pattern. 20,000 years later, the prototype of the physical avenue condensed, and the Tao pattern was successfully inscribed. The prototypes of avenues made Yi Tian's endless avenues wider and wider. Although the length was still 1,000 meters, the width was gradually approaching 2,000 meters. Another 100,000 years passed. Yi Tian finally succeeded in condensing all the prototypes of the great Tao corresponding to the chaos divine ability he had learned, and inscribed the corresponding Tao patterns. Now, Yi Tian's Zushan Tao body has engraved 22 Tao patterns. If it weren't for the same avenues contained in some chaotic supernatural powers, Yi Tian now possessed more than 22 avenues. After so many 10,000 years of hard work, Yi Tian almost gave up the Xuanshu art, but his strength was not slow in the slightest. Now he has reached the mid-stage 8-star God General, and he is also at the top level in the ranks of the 8-star mid-stage God General. On the list of divine generals above the ancestral monument, Yi Tian's title of divine general has always been at the top of the divine general list, and no one can threaten his position. Cloud Purple Palace. Goddess Yunzi sighed. Wanfa Daozi is too strong. He has stepped into the mid-8-star divine general early, and I still can't step into the mid-8-star divine general. How did he cultivate? That person's inheritance is too strong. Impossible. My master may not be as good as the one from the Zushan lineage, but it is not too weak, and the other Taoist ancestors of the Zushan lineage are not very powerful. Why is Wanfa Daozi like this? What's special? Goddess Yunzi was puzzled and thought that Yi Tian was too evil. Hall of Fake Heaven, Peng Yu Tianjin and several other Tianjin were also discussing Yi Tian. The innate talent of Daozi is too terrifying. In only a few 100,000 years, he has been promoted to the middle stage of the 8-star general, and the goddess of Yunzi who has defeated the tower of the god of war is enough to rank among the countless Taoist ancestors in the entire chaos. Be in the forefront, Peng Yu Tianjin said. Hejia Tianjin worshipped. With Wanfa Daozi's talent and speed of progress, he may even be promoted to the 9-star extreme god general in the future. 9 stars extreme, it's too difficult, Peng Yu Tianjin said unsurely. Most of the Taoist ancestors can indeed be promoted to 9-star god generals, but they cannot be promoted to the 9-star early stage gods only, and they have no choice but to advance to the realm of destiny. 9-star early stage gods, 9-star mid-stage gods, 9-star late-stage gods, 9-star peak gods, 9-star extreme gods, these represent the 5 potentials of gods. Taoist ancestors, direct descendants, or other geniuses all want to step into the 9-star general, but the potential and inheritance are different, and the ultimate limit that can be reached is different. Geniuses who can truly reach the pinnacle of 9-star generals are too rare. Even in chaos, they have not been born for many years. Several late-stage 9-star generals are still impacting, and they are unwilling to step into the realm of destiny. The reason why these generals all want to raise the level of the 9-star god general is because the stronger the level of the generals, the greater the benefits they will get after breaking through to the destiny realm, and even affect their whole life. For example, after the 9-star initial stage god will become the realm of destiny, he will be able to get the baptism of the source of chaos, and the potential of the body and soul will be greatly improved. For the time being, we will use 100 points of chaotic baptism to describe it, but if the 9-star ultimate god will be promoted to the destiny, maybe you can get 1000 chaotic origin baptism. How high is the potential increase of the body and soul? This kind of potential improvement is unimaginable. Even the Taoist ancestors can hardly improve the potential of a Tianjin. Potential not only represents the training speed, but also represents the combat effectiveness and future achievements. It's like the Taoist ancestors. Some Taoist ancestors are weak, but some Taoist ancestors are very strong, which has something to do with the accumulation of the level of gods. In short, those true geniuses did not accumulate to the limit at the level of the gods, and were not willing to advance to the realm of destiny. Ha ha ha, I'm just saying this, it's really hard to become a 9-star extreme god general. It seems that no one in our Zushan lineage has stepped into the 9-star extreme god general for a long time. Enter, then our Zushan lineage will become famous again, Hejia Tianjin said with a smile. Chapter 878 Refining the Ancient Demon Tower. After the 22 Dao patterns were inscribed on the Zushan Dao body, Yi Tian did not continue to collect chaos divine powers but concentrated on cultivating the mysterious Suhui. In these hundreds of thousands of years, he has hardly practiced Xuanshu art, because he concentrated on cultivating chaos supernatural powers, condensing the prototype of the Tao, and engraving the Tao pattern. Where does he have time to practice Xuanshu art? Therefore, his Xuanshu art is still at the 7th level entry level. In fact, the 7th layer of mysterious void art belongs to the chapter of destiny. It is a chaotic body refining secret technique cultivated in the destiny realm, but Yi Tian is not an ordinary person, and the ordinary destiny realm powerhouse is like an ant in his eyes. It is because of this that he can practice the 7th level of Xuanshu art, which is the chapter of destiny. But with his current cultivation level, it is very difficult to cultivate the 7th level of mysterious void art, but after attaining the void heaven Tao body, his cultivation is much simpler. If he didn't have the void heaven Tao body, it would be 100 times more difficult for him to cultivate the mysterious void Ju destiny chapter. Yi Tian has a lot of resources, and he has obtained the obsidian gold lode, which can be exchanged for a lot of resources to assist Xuanshu art. Therefore, Yi Tian's cultivation speed is very fast, and the Xuanshu art is progressing little by little. 10,000 and 10,000 years have passed, and finally in the 6th 10,000 years, Yi Tian has cultivated the Xuanshu Ju to the 7th layer great 217% realm. His body has become more terrifying, and his strength has come a step closer, reaching the late 8-star god general realm. It's a pity that it is more difficult to advance the Xuanshu art. After all, the chapter of destiny actually only has 3 layers. Before Yi Tian broke through to the realm of destiny, it was too difficult to advance the Xuanshu art to the 8th layer. It is also very difficult to reach the 7th layer consummation realm, and he wants many opportunities and rare resources against the sky. But today's big universe lacks such resources, and other people may not have such resources. If Yi Tian can leave the big universe, he can search slowly in the chaos, but unfortunately he can't leave. Because of this, some real top geniuses are not necessarily willing to enter the big universe. Once they enter the big universe, they will lose the opportunity to find opportunities in chaos. Otherwise, some of the 8-star gods in the chaos might also venture into the great universe. Taoist ancestors like Yunzi goddess dared to enter the big universe in the first batch, no doubt gave up many things and went beyond the expectations of other forces. Goddess Yunzi dares to do this, but other Taoist ancestors may not dare to do so. Although Yi Tian is a direct descendant of Taoist ancestors, he is an exception because he is a native of the universe. Another tens of thousands of years have passed. Yi Tian's progress is very slow, it can even be said that the progress is not great. At this time, Yi Tian was a little impatient. Cultivation is too difficult, and there has been no progress for such a long time. Yi Tian sighed, but soon, he adjusted his mentality. That's right, in the chaos, countless geniuses can't do it if they want to attack the 8-star god general. Even if it's a personal inheritance from Taoist ancestors, there are countless opportunities, and it will take thousands of years to improve a little strength. In a short period of time, the combat power of the late 8-star god general is enough to shock others. Thinking like this, Yi Tian calmed down again. However, this does not mean that he is not motivated, he still wants to improve his strength in a short period of time. Go to the ancient demon tower, it's been a long time since I've been there, I should be able to pass the 13th floor this time. Yi Tian thought to himself. If he crosses the 13th floor of the ancient devil tower, then the ancient devil tower is his. A top-notch super-quality Xeon treasure, second only to Chaos treasure, or even stronger treasure, is also very valuable to him. Even if he doesn't need it, it can be placed in the human race in the future and used by the human race geniuses, which can strengthen the human race's strength. Ancient Demon Cave. This place was originally the site of Kangyu Universe, but now the double universe has become a big universe, and it has expanded countless times, and the area where the ancient Devil Cave is located has also become an unowned area. However, the ancient Demon Cave was still occupied by major forces, one of which was the Hall of Void Heaven. However, those holy places that originally occupied the ancient Devil Cave are not qualified to stay in the ancient Devil Cave (CJFI) anymore. After all, the strength of those holy places is too bad, and the strongest are only the strength of 3 or 4-star god generals at most. In the eyes of foreign powers, it is similar to ants. And Yi Tian, as a Taoist ancestor of the Zushan lineage, can naturally enter the ancient Devil Cave for free, and no one dares to stop him. At the entrance of the ancient Devil Cave, a 6-star god will guard here. After all, it's just a mere Xeon treasure, plus an ordinary treasure, the major forces don't care, and sending a 6-star general to guard here is already considered important. I have seen Wanfa Daozi. The 6-star god general saw Yi Tian coming, and immediately said respectfully. Yi Tian nodded and entered the ancient Devil Cave. Afterwards, Yi Tian entered the ancient demon pagoda and went directly to the 12th floor. Before, his physical body was not strong, and he never passed the 12th floor. But now his body is so terrifying, he passed the 12th floor in an instant, and came to the last floor of the ancient demon tower, the 13th floor. Whoa! 10 ancient demons appeared and besieged Yi Tian. Each ancient demon was extremely powerful and his fighting skills were extremely superb. If it was Yi Tian, there is really no way to fight against these 10 ancient demons, but now there is hope to defeat them. Kill. Yi Tian held a long sword and fought against 10 ancient demons with his supreme physical strength and unimaginable fighting skills. From being slightly weak at the beginning, he gradually took control of the overall situation and gained an advantage. After half an hour, Yi Tian killed an ancient demon, completely causing a crushing trend. Soon, all 10 ancient demons were killed by Yi Tian and passed through the 13th floor of the ancient demon tower. At this time, the pure ancient demon essence appeared and was absorbed by Yi Tian, but it didn't improve his strength much. After all, this ancient demon essence is no longer a treasure, and naturally it cannot attract Yi Tian. Wow! Yi Tian appeared in a great hall, which was the core inner hall of the ancient demon pagoda. Here, Yi Tian met the artifact spirit of the ancient demon pagoda. The spirit of the ancient magic tower looks small, only the size of a doll, but it is a piece of wisdom. Assessor, you have passed the 13th floor of the ancient devil tower, and you are qualified to refine the ancient devil tower and become the master of my ancient devil. How to refine? Yi Tian asked. This is the core of the ancient magic tower, you can control the ancient magic tower by refining it. Guno Road. It is good. Yi Tian nodded, but did not have much excitement. He has obtained so much obsidian gold, Even Xeon's supreme treasure is not qualified to make him too excited. A mere Xeon supreme treasure can only be regarded as a small gain, ready to throw it to the human race in the future. Where will there be any big surprises? Soon, Yi Tian completely refined the core of the ancient demon pagoda. However, after refining and taking control of the ancient demon tower, his expression changed, and he had endless surprises. The ancient magic tower turned out to be. Chapter 879 Jibao. Yi Tian had always thought that the ancient demon pagoda was a super-grade Xeon super treasure. Even if it was stronger than the normal super-grade Xeon super treasure and super-grade chaos spirit treasure, it still belonged to the category of super-superior super treasure. But now, after refining the ancient demon pagoda, he realized that the ancient demon pagoda is not a supreme treasure, but an undeveloped world treasure. In the past, Yi Tian didn't know what a Jibao was, but after becoming a Taoist ancestor, he gained a lot of knowledge from the Hall of Void Heaven, including news about Jibao. The world treasure corresponds to the chaotic treasure, and it is not even bad at all. The chaos treasure is born in chaos, and there are also forged chaos treasures. The world treasure is different. The world treasure cannot be forged and can only be nurtured by the great universe, but the great universe is so rare, and it takes a long time to nurture it. 100,000 pieces of Xeon Supreme treasures are far less than a world treasure. To put it in a bad way, Xeon Supreme treasures and Chaos Spirit treasures are worthless at all. The generals of the gods also despise the general Xeon Supreme treasure and Chaos Spirit treasure. For example, those 6 or 7-star god generals, the worst weapons used are high-quality Chaos Spirit treasures, and even super-grade Chaos Spirit treasures. Some gods with unusual identities even have Chaos treasures in their hands. For example, the goddess Yunzi, Yi Tian is sure that the other party definitely has Chaos treasure, or even more than one. Yi Tian himself does not have Chaos treasures, nor can he buy them, because Chaos treasures are relatively scarce in Chaos. Chaos treasures nurtured by heaven and earth are hard to see, and there are not many Chaos treasures forged, only those powerful refining tools. Teachers can forge Chaos treasures from rare materials. There are too many heavenly monarchs in Chaos, which leads to the shortage of Chaos treasures. Although the value of the Chaos treasure is far inferior to that of the half-Dao artifact, it is also very precious, and few people are willing to sell the Chaos treasure. Therefore, Yi Tian currently has no way to get the Chaos Supreme treasure to arm himself, but now he has obtained a semi-finished world treasure. Strictly speaking, the semi-finished world treasure cannot give Yi Tian too much value. After all, his wealth far exceeds a large number of chaotic treasures, but if the semi-finished world treasure becomes a world treasure, it will greatly increase Yi Tian's strength. Even more than Chaos Arcana. Because the gods will not be able to exert the power of the Chaos treasure, 1/5 of the power cannot be exerted, and only those who are in the Destiny realm can exert the power of the Chaos treasure. This is because the Destiny realm Tianjin possesses the power of chaos, the divine power is completely transformed into the power of chaos, and the treasure of chaos contains the power of chaos. However, the power of the gods is a bit inconsistent with the chaos treasure, so it is difficult to exert the power of the chaos treasure. But the world treasure is different. The world treasure does not contain the power of chaos, but the power of the world. Yi Tian's cultivation system is a small universe. In fact, it uses divine power and the power of the world, so it can fully exert the power of the world treasure. Therefore, in the big universe, the native creatures can fully exert the power of the world treasure. For example, a god general in the early stage of 7 stars, if he holds a world treasure, he can easily defeat or even kill a chaos god general in the middle stage of 7 stars. Yi Tian is now an 8-star late-stage god general. If he owns a world treasure, it is enough to fight head-on with an 8-star peak god general, and he doesn't need to rely on consumption to kill the opponent. Yi Tian knew that he would stay at the divine general level for a long time, so Jibao meant a lot to him. There are many ways to cultivate a half-world treasure into a world treasure. The easiest way is to devour a large number of Xeon Supreme treasures to increase the power of its world origin. The reason why the ancient magic tower cannot grow into a world treasure is because it is born during the fusion of the two universes. If it was born after the formation of the big universe, it would be a world treasure. Yi Tian muttered, the Xeon Supreme treasure is useless to him now, and he can't sell it. He now has a pile of Xeon Supreme treasure, and the human race does not lack Xeon Supreme treasure. Immediately, Yi Tian threw these supreme treasures into the ancient magic tower, and let the artifact spirit of the ancient magic tower devour these supreme treasures. The original space of the ancient magic tower. Pieces of Xeon treasures were smashed and turned into pure energy to temper the entire ancient magic tower. Gradually, the power of the ancient magic tower became stronger and stronger, and it was getting closer and closer to the world treasure. A Xeon treasure. 10 Xeon treasures. Hundreds of Xeon treasures. Tens of thousands of years have passed. Yi Tian consumed a total of 219 pieces of Xeon supreme treasure, all of which were swallowed up by the ancient demon pagoda. Finally this day, the ancient magic tower has completed its transformation. The ancient demon pagoda was transformed in the Void Heaven Palace, and the Void Heaven Palace was a half-Dao weapon, and it was the top half-Dao device, and the fluctuations of the ancient magic tower's promotion were all suppressed by it. Ask for flowers. Otherwise, the birth of a world treasure will definitely cause a huge sensation. After a long time, the transformation of the ancient demon tower was completed, and it became a darker tower, and the powerful world rules permeated from it, making people tremble. Yi Tian stared at the ancient demon pagoda and was extremely excited. The ancient magic tower has finally become a world treasure. Yi Tian said with a smile. The ancient demon pagoda is a world treasure with the 3 abilities of defense, suppression, and devouring, which is of great help in battle. With the world treasure grade ancient demon pagoda, Yi Tian's strength has grown again. If he were to meet an 8-star peak god general, he would be able to kill him in a short time. Of course, for the top 8-star peak god general, he considered himself to be not an opponent, and at most he could protect himself. Big universe, a barren area. A young man is looking for this area. The big universe is too big, and there are too few living beings. Even the top heavenly emperors can't explore the whole big universe, so the process of exploring the big universe by the major forces has been going on. This young man is one of the exploratory armies and is exploring this unknown area. And he was a member of the original Tibetan temple, the divine general Zhongling. Compared with the past, Zhang Lingshan will live better now, and it can even be said that it is very difficult. His talent is not good in the first place, and he is only a 2-star god general in the chaos. He is still a big man in the small chaos continent, but in the entire chaos, he is like an ant. But now the big universe has gathered the top heavenly emperors in the chaos and a large number of 7 or 8-star gods, not to mention that he was reincarnated into the big universe. Even his previous life's cultivation base is nothing at all. So far, he has barely stepped into the late stage 2-star strength. This is because he has some chance, plus he has joined a big force, so as not to obtain a little good practice. But he has no status in that big force at all, and can only do errands. Now, he will come to explore the big universe. Hey, what is that? Zhang Ling's eyes saw a purple light through a long distance, and only after getting closer did he realize that it was the light emanating from a world. The world exuding purple light proves that this world is not ordinary. Chapter 880 Purple Light World. Zhang Lingshan hurriedly flew over and quickly arrived in front of this purple light world. It should be a new world that has just been born. Zhang Lingshan thought to himself. After all, such a purple light world is very special, and it can be seen from a long distance. If it was born for a long time, it should have been discovered long ago, but he has never heard of such a purple light world. Therefore, this must be a new world that was born not long ago. There is no dimensional space in the big universe now, so the born world directly appears in the void of the big universe, just like the original barren world. Ordinary people can't see it, but the strong can see the world barriers. General Zhang Lingshan did not inform the big forces behind him, so he was going to go in and take a look. If it was a world rich in resources, he would naturally occupy this world, so how could he inform the big forces behind him? Swish. Zhang Lingshan will pass through the world barrier of Ziguang, 217, world and enter the Ziguang world. As soon as he entered the purple light world, Zhang Lingshan's expression changed greatly, and his face became hideous. Do not. A large amount of purple light penetrated into his body, and the terrifying power spread, directly annihilating his body, and the soul also dissipated under the erosion of the purple light. In one breath, Zhang Lingshan will fall. Hall of Fake Heaven. Yi Tian was still cultivating, and Pengyu Tianjin sent a message. Purple Light World. Yi Tian looked at the content of the communication, and was a little surprised, and immediately left the customs. However, he did not see Pengyu Tianjin, only Heijia Tianjin. Heijia Tianjin, what is the situation in the Purple Light World? Yi Tian asked. Gaozi, the Purple Light World is a newly discovered special world. Because of the lack of understanding of this world at the beginning, some gods have fallen into it one after another. Not long ago, a 7-star god entered the Purple Light World and discovered this world. The purple light in the Purple Light World is a special ability. The 7-star gods can't bear the power of the purple light at once, but the gods are heavenly monarchs with more than 7 stars can continuously improve their physical strength under the erosion of the purple light, and the top heavenly monarchs can even swallow it. Zigguang tempers the body. However, the Zigguang world is very large and has not yet been investigated clearly. But in any case, the Zigguang world is definitely a top-level special world, and the value is unimaginable. At present, many Tianjin have gone to the Zigguang world. Heijia Tianjin introduced. Thank you Heijia Tianjin, I am also interested in Zigguang world, let's go. Yi Tian said. Heijia Tianjin hurriedly said, Daozi, your identity is not ordinary. Now the world of Zigguang has caused great turmoil. At this time, the past was very chaotic and there was a little danger. Why don't you go with a few of us Tianjin? It is good. Yi Tian nodded. His current strength is good, but compared with the heavenly monarch of the great universe, the gap is too great. The heavenly sovereigns of the great universe are basically top heavenly sovereigns cultivated by the major forces, and they can even leapfrog to compete with weaker true sovereigns. Yi Tian can only bully some of the great universe native heavenly sovereigns, such as Yuangu heavenly sovereign. Realm powerhouses can't compete with other top heavenly monarchs, let alone deal with the heavenly monarchs. He has a lot of treasures on his body, and it is difficult to guarantee that other Tianjin will not start at this time, so it is safer to follow Tianjin Heijia and others. After waiting for a few days, the other heavenly sovereigns came out one by one, and about 7 or 8 heavenly sovereigns went to the purple light world with Yi Tian. Before long, the purple light world arrived. Yi Tian took a closer look and was immediately stunned. At this time, there are empty fortresses outside the purple light world, and a large number of gods and heavenly monarchs permeate the entire void. This is still the gods and gods outside. How many gods and gods should enter the interior? Could it be that all the gods and emperors of the universe have come? It can be seen from this, what a treasure this purple light world is. Wanfa Daozi is also here. A Miaoman body appeared in front of Yi Tian, and it was the goddess Yunzi. At this time, the goddess Yunzi was still an early 8-star god general, and was far inferior to Yi Tian. However, Yi Tian still did not dare to underestimate the goddess Yunzi. After all, it was a personal handed down from Taoist ancestors. Who knew what cards and treasures there were on her body? Wanfa Daozi, how about entering the purple light world together? Yunzi goddess said. I heard that the purple light in the purple light world is a rare energy, which is very useful for our cultivation, but the purple light is very corrosive, even if it is the sky. You can't stay for too long. And the depths of the purple light world are more dangerous, and it is not a field that we can set foot on. Goddess Yunzi said. Sure, Yi Tian nodded. Immediately, Yi Tian and the goddess Yunzi passed through the purple light world barrier and entered the purple light world. Once entering the purple light world, a large amount of purple light poured into the body, trying to corrode Yi Tian's fleshly body, but Yi Tian's fleshly body is so powerful that he is naturally not afraid of purple light corrosion. Feeling the energy contained in the purple light, Yi Tian immediately ran the Xuanshu art and began to practice. It is very difficult for other gods to refine the purple light, and they can only use the purple light to forcibly temper their bodies, and they can't hold on for long. The gods who can last for 10 minutes are not bad. But Yi Tian found out that his void heaven Tao body could devour even purple light. It's the Tao of light pattern. Yi Tian was surprised. The void heaven Tao body with the Tao of light pattern inscribed seems to be able to absorb any light energy. However, there is no way for the virtual body to completely refine the purple light, and it will still be eroded by the purple light, but the speed is very slow. I can stay in the purple light world for a long time, this is my treasure. Moreover, the purple light is an excellent aid to the Xuanshu art. Maybe I can easily cultivate the Xuanshu art to the 7th level perfect state in the purple light world. Attack the 8th layer realm of Xuanshu art. Yi Tian thought. Yi Tian sat cross-legged, part of his mind paid attention to his surroundings, while the rest of his mind manipulated his body to run the Xuanshu art to continuously practice, and a large amount of purple light poured into his body and was refined by him one by one. The Yunzi goddess on the other side was relatively relaxed at first, because she also had special methods to refine the purple light, but gradually she couldn't hold it anymore, and her body gradually turned purple. She glanced at Yi Tian at 5.8 and found that Yi Tian's aura was very normal, and she was stunned. How could he not be affected by the purple light? I have cultivated a special physique that is rare in the chaos of the ice purple holy body, and I have cultivated it. Only at the Dacheng realm can I refine the energy of different species. The purple light has little effect on me, but I can't last for a few days. Can he easily refine the purple light? Goddess Yunzi couldn't think of the first body let alone know the virtual body. She knew the virtual body, Duan. After all, there are not many Tao patterns inscribed on the virtual heaven body, and it is not a strong physique. It may not be as good as the ice purple holy body, but once there are many Tao patterns inscribed, it is the first physique of chaos. Important notice, Filu's revision, the entire website cannot be updated for 7 days, and this book naturally cannot be updated, and it will be updated after 7 days, please forgive me.